Chapter 1140. Lin Xian now knew that his father was in the palace of the gods of war. Perhaps his father had already become a member of the palace of the gods of war, and these people wanted to deal with him because they didn't get along with his father. And those who had helped him could be his father's good friends. The more Lin Xian thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. After the matter in the remote sky secret realm was over, he should make a trip to the palace of the gods of war. Lin Xian felt that he had to meet his father because he had many questions to ask. But now wasn't the time. He had to wait until they left the remote sky secret realm. Beside him, Zhao Shui was also silent. Originally, she had absorbed the energy in the Dragon Ball and her strength had increased a lot. She thought that she could dominate the world. But she didn't expect such a powerful expert to appear. This made her feel a sense of danger. So now, whenever she had time, she would work hard to absorb the energy in the Dragon Ball and try to increase her strength again. Not long after, Lin Xian stood up again and said slowly, "I think it's time to track the heavenly netherbird. Otherwise, the treasure in the core of the remote sky secret realm won't be ours." Zhao Shui also opened her eyes and didn't delay any longer. Then, the two of them quickly sensed a black flame aura left behind by the heavenly netherbird and chased after it. With their powerful soul power and the detection of the Eye of Heaven, they were finally on the right track after a day. Lin Xian and the other man quickly chased after the scorching aura, their bodies moving like lightning. The black flame aura is getting stronger. I think we're on the right track. Sensing the changes in the surroundings, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Beside him, Zhao Shui also nodded lightly. Indeed, she could also feel the scorching aura. The two of them flew quickly and found that the demonic beasts in front of them were getting stronger. Sometimes, they even found a 7-star demonic general. That was an existence even more terrifying than a 7th-level supremacy. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui didn't want to provoke such a terrifying demonic beast. So, they used their soul power to take a detour. At the very least, the strength of the 7-star demon general's body had completely surpassed that of a 7th heaven supremacy. If they really fought, it would be troublesome. It definitely wouldn't be as easy as fighting with the mysterious man from the palace of gods of war. Fortunately, the two of them passed through safely. In the following days, they encountered all kinds of rare and exotic beasts. Sometimes, they even encountered groups of demonic beasts. This kind of thing made their hearts jump to their throats. But no matter what, they were getting closer and closer to the heavenly netherbird. Suddenly, a huge black shadow appeared in front of them. It was like a mountain that was almost 10,000 feet high, piercing through the clouds. "What a tall mountain!" Lin Xian and Lin Xian exclaimed. But soon the two of them frowned. "No, this isn't a mountain!" Zhao Shui also used her void sky eyes to check carefully. Then she frowned. "Those are actually trees!" When they found out that the huge shadow was actually a tree, Lin Xian and Lin Xian were completely dumbfounded. They had never seen such a tall tree. It was almost 10,000 feet high, and the top of the tree pierced through the clouds. No wonder they were mistaken. No one would have thought that it was a tree. The remote sky mystery realm is really mysterious. We can see all kinds of strange things," Lin Xian exclaimed. In the outside world, he had never seen such a tall tree. It looked like it had lived for at least a few thousand years. The two of them flew towards the huge tree with curiosity in their hearts. But gradually, the two of them frowned again. Because the closer they got to the tree, the more uneasy they felt. It was as if something was about to happen. "Be careful. I keep feeling that something is wrong." Lin Xian transmitted his voice to Zhao Shui. Just as he finished speaking, the air suddenly froze. The two of them froze. It felt as if the entire space was tightly grabbed by a pair of invisible hands. It was as if the surrounding air was about to crush them. "Damn it!" Their expressions changed drastically. Their bodies emitted cracking sounds as if they couldn't bear it anymore. Zhao Shui cried out as countless tiny golden vortexes appeared around her body, producing a devouring force that tried to dissolve the oppressive feeling around her. Lin Xian did not stay idle either. countless sword chi burst out from his body and cut the surrounding space apart. Then, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they looked around cautiously. It was too dangerous just now. It was only because the two of them were strong, had extraordinary skills, and had mastered many kinds of secret techniques that they were able to escape the calamity. Otherwise, even a 7th level supremacy would not have been able to escape in a short time. This place was too strange. Zhao Shue's face was solemn. Indeed, the aura just now was too similar to the wind concept. However, its power was far beyond the wind concept. Lin Xian also frowned. Based on the situation just now, it was clearly a wind attribute aura. However, the wind attribute aura was much stronger than he had imagined. It even affected the entire space. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Just as the two of them were talking quickly, countless green whirlwinds suddenly appeared around them. The whirlwinds were of different heights. However, without exception, they all had green wind blades flashing on their surface. It was as if they could easily tear the void apart. Following the appearance of the green whirlwinds, the entire space became extremely oppressive. It was as if there was an invisible force imprisoning Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, fixing their bodies in the air. It is indeed a wind attribute aura! Lin Xian took a deep breath. In the next moment, he also used the wind concept. A ball of green light surrounded him, and Zhao Shui. Crack, crack, crack. In an instant, the surrounding space made sounds of collision. It was the collision of two forces. It was just that those fierce winds in the surroundings were too terrifying, pressuring the two to the point that they were somewhat unable to breathe. Even with Lin Xian's concept of wind, their situation only became slightly better, but they were still not out of danger. Then, many huge cyan figures appeared from the cyan whirlwind. It was a type of strange bird. Its body was covered in green feathers, but it had a human face. At this moment, the strange faces of the people had extremely ferocious expressions. They stared at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui with incomparable malice. Following that, there were waves of angry roars. These guys seem to want revenge? Lin Xian's expression was ugly. Revenge? How did they find us? We have never been here before? Zhao Shui also frowned. Lin Xian used his soul power to quickly investigate. He found that there were a few green monster bird corpses in the distance. It was obvious that they had been killed. Moreover, looking at the wounds, it seemed to be caused by a sharp weapon. There must have been humans who came here before and killed many monsters. That was why they hated humans so much. Lin Xian sighed. It seemed that the two of them had been used as scapegoats. Chapter 1141. Zhao Shui also activated her virtual sky eye and looked into the distance. Then, she was shocked because her virtual sky eye could see even more clearly. In the distance, there were 5 or 6 large wind demon beasts that had been split in half. However, what shocked Zhao Shui was that the wounds on the 5 wind demon beasts were all in the same position. It was obvious that this was the result of a single slash. Who is it that can kill so many powerful wind magical beasts with a single slash? Zhao Shui was extremely shocked. Lin Xian also frowned when he heard this. Someone with such strength was at least a 7th level supremacy. Furthermore, it was not an ordinary 7th level supremacy. This person's strength was probably not any weaker than the mysterious man from before. Which faction was this person from? How could he be so strong? Someone actually appeared here. Could it be that his goal is the same as ours? Also the core area of the remote sky secret realm? Thinking of this, their faces darkened. If it was as they guessed, then the situation was not good. Then, the two of them used their methods to break through the frozen space and continued to fly forward. However, the further they went, the gloomier their faces became because they found human footprints in front of them. It was obvious that this person was also chasing after the heavenly netherbird. Oh no, I'm afraid that person's goal is the same as ours. Lin Xian took a deep breath as his expression became extremely serious. Indeed, someone had walked in front of Lin Xian and Zhao Shui and was chasing after the heavenly netherbird. This caused their faces to turn gloomy. In the next moment, they could not help but increase their speed. Although they knew that the core area had layers of arrays and would not be easy to enter, they would not be able to bear the consequences if someone else beat them to it. Therefore, the two of them had to increase their speed. However, just as they were rushing forward, they suddenly heard the sound of rushing air. Then, a figure appeared in their field of vision. The figure seemed to be in a sorry state, and his aura was extremely unstable. When he saw Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, he was also stunned. However, he quickly said anxiously, "There's danger ahead. There's danger ahead. You'd better run." While speaking, the figure did not slow down and soon arrived in front of Lin Xian. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui frowned. They had seen this kind of situation many times. They guessed that they were being hunted. However, in this kind of situation, there were always people who wanted to frame them and drag them into the water, just like the time when they encountered the Divine Bird Palace. However, this time around, it seemed to be a bit different. That was because this man had warned them to leave. This made the two of them extremely surprised. "Why aren't you leaving yet?" When the figure arrived beside Lin Xian and Lin Xian, he was also stunned. At this moment, Lin Xian also saw the figure clearly. It was a young man, and a fat one at that. The things he was wearing were very messy, and it didn't look like a complete set. On top of a loose robe, there was an ancient battle armor that covered the heart and other key parts. He was wearing a pair of green boots that were emitting a green light. Lin Xian could sense a dense wind attribute energy from it. Clearly, this was a treasure that could increase one's speed. At the same time, the fat man was also wearing a helmet that covered most of his face. However, his eyes were constantly moving, and it was obvious that he was a smart person. "Why aren't you running?" The fat man stared at Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, his eyes constantly moving. No matter how smart he was, he could not understand what the two of them were thinking. "Why should we run? You should be the one in danger." Lin Xian shrugged. Hearing this, the fat man rolled his eyes. He wanted to say something, but suddenly, a huge wind blade came from all directions and slashed at him. "Damn, it's this group of hateful wind demons again." The fat man cursed, but his movements were not slow. His green shoes emitted a green light and carried him like a gust of wind, dodging these attacks in an instant. At the same time, on his hands, 2 black boxing gloves were unknowingly put on. With a punch, a majestic energy gushed out from the gloves and blew up the wind demons. The powerful attack surprised Lin Xian. He looked at the fat man in surprise and found that the treasures on the fat man's body were all extraordinary. They were at least half Earth-rank treasures or above. Take the black boxing gloves for example. They were extremely powerful and did not lose to his Lone Star sword. However, compared to his Red Lotus boxing gloves, they were still slightly inferior. However, this was already very impressive and had surpassed most martial artists. After finishing off the wind demons in front of him with one punch, the little fatty said, "You guys better run. The person behind you is simply a lunatic." After saying this, the little fatty ignored Lin Xian and Zhao Shui and turned to run. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were surprised. To be honest, the fat man was already very powerful. Even if he encountered a 7th-level venerable, he could still fight. He could not imagine what kind of person could make the little fatty so scared. Could it be that person? Lin Xian and Zhao Shui looked at each other because they felt that the person behind them was very likely someone who had the same goal as them. However, at this moment, a cold laugh suddenly came from the front. "Damn fatty, do you think you can escape?" This voice was extremely sharp, like a sharp blade that cut down all the trees in the surrounding mountains. In the next moment, a blue light lit up in front of them. It was like an ocean that instantly surged over. Everywhere it passed, the surrounding wind demons all screamed in pain. Countless wounds appeared on their bodies as if they had been cut by a sharp blade. Some unlucky ones were even directly cut in half. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's expressions changed. They finally knew why the fat man wanted to escape. It was because the person in front of them was too terrifying. Just this attack alone was enough to make them feel fearful. This attack was even stronger than an ordinary 7th level Venerable's attack. Seeing that the blue light was about to engulf them, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not remain silent. Instead, they both attacked. Lin Xian formed an armor on his body and blocked the blue light. Zhao Shui shouted and countless golden vortexes appeared on her body as well, absorbing everything in a frenzy. The blue light was so terrifying that it could even cut space apart. In the next moment, it enveloped Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Clang, 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 clang. When the blue light hit the two of them, a series of low metallic sounds were heard. The sound was so terrifying that Lin Xian's qi and blood trembled. What a terrifying light! It seems to contain the power of water. However, this sharp aura is much stronger than the water element. What kind of attack is this? Why is it so strange? Lin Xian was shocked. Chapter 1142. That was because it was too illogical. Normally, water elements were used to assist in healing and were more gentle. However, although the blue light in front of him contained a thick water element aura, its sharpness was even more terrifying than some sword intense. Lin Xian had never encountered such a thing before. The fatty in front was also enveloped by the blue light, and immediately shouted in shock. Damn lunatic, I didn't provoke you. Why are you chasing me? Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're from the palace of gods of war. If you provoke me, I won't let you off. Sensing danger, the fatty kept shouting. Palace of gods of war? Hearing that, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched. He didn't expect the palace of gods of war to have such a powerful, honorable other than the mysterious man from before. It seemed that the palace of gods of war was plotting something big. At that moment, a cold laugh came from the front again. Damn fatty, no matter what, you're dead meat. How dare you follow me secretly? Tell me, what's your motive? Bool Shastras T, who's following you secretly? The road is so big. Are you the only one who's allowed to walk and I'm not? The fatty was stubborn. Although the blue light made him scream, he didn't suffer any substantial damage. Otherwise, the other party wouldn't be in the mood to argue. The voice didn't continue, but a figure flew over quickly. This was a very arrogant young man with a cold smile on his face. The aura on his body was abnormally sharp, like a sharp knife that could cut through everything. There's someone else? The young man stepped on the void and walked over with his hands behind his back. However, when he saw Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, he was clearly stunned. He didn't expect there to be two other people here besides the fatty. Moreover, the two of them seemed to have resisted his attack. This greatly surprised him. Seventh Heaven Honorable! Yan Feng's gaze swept across Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Then, his gaze stopped on Zhao Shui. Zhao Shui's aura was very powerful. She had reached the 7th Heaven Honorable. What shocked him even more was that she was very young. This had piqued his interest. That was because he was also a 7th level Venerate. Moreover, he knew that it was extremely rare for someone to become a 7th level Venerate at their age. Every single one of them was a peerless genius. However, he didn't know which house of kings this white-clothed woman belonged to. Not only that, but Zhao Xuan's beautiful face also moved his heart. I didn't expect to meet such a beauty in a place like this. Looks like my luck is pretty good. Yan Feng's eyes flickered. However, in the next moment, when his gaze swept over Lin Xian, he immediately frowned. This was because his opponent's cultivation was simply too low. He was only at the 5th heavenly layer of the exalted realm. In his eyes, such a cultivation was no different from an ant. However, to his surprise, his opponent was actually able to resist his attack. He couldn't help but be surprised. One had to know that although his attack was just a casual attack, its power was extremely powerful. A 6th heaven venerable would not be able to withstand it at all. Even a 7th heaven venerable would have to take it seriously. But now, a brat at the 5th heavenly layer martial highness realm was actually safe and sound? He couldn't understand this. However, when he saw the red lotus armor on Lin Xian's body, he immediately sneered. I was wondering why an ant of the 5th celestial layer could withstand my attack. So it turns out that he is wearing a defensive armor. Seeing this, Yan Feng's lips curled into a cold smile. Brat, I have to say that you're very lucky. I can spare your life as long as you take off your armor and give it to me. At this moment, Lin Xian's entire body was covered by the red lotus armor. The scarlet light flickered as if it was a real armor. Therefore, even though Yan Feng was a 7th heaven venerable, he didn't immediately realize that the armor was illusory. However, even if it was real, Lin Xian couldn't take it off and give it to anyone. Lin Xian's face turned cold when he heard the other party's arrogant words. This guy was really arrogant. Did he really think that he could control everything just because his cultivation was high? He was disgusted by these people's faces. Therefore, he planned to give them a taste of their own medicine. In the next moment, he looked up at Yan Feng and said coldly, "You're lucky. You're quite lucky. Hand over that saber on your body, and I can spare your life." His voice was filled with provocation. Zhao Shui didn't have any reaction to Lin Xian's behavior. She would be surprised if the spiritual value points didn't say that. However, when the little fatty behind heard this, his body trembled and he almost fell to the ground. He stared blankly at Lin Xian, the fat on his face trembling. Did I hear wrongly? What did that brat say? He's actually threatening Yan Feng? Heavens, does he know who Yan Feng is? The fatty covered his face. Didn't I tell him? That's not right. I already told him. The fatty couldn't believe that someone dared to provoke Yan Feng. When the arrogant young man in front heard this, he was also stunned. Then he laughed loudly. Brat, it's been a long time since someone dared to speak to me like that. Because anyone who spoke to me like that is already dead. Yan Feng looked down at Lin Xian as if he was looking at a dead man. Is that so? Then I'm different from you. Lin Xian shrugged. People talk to me like that every day. But it's a pity that those who spoke to me like that are all dead. Pfft. When the fatty heard this, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. This brat was too awesome. He actually dared to provoke Yan Feng like that. Brother, I'll give you 100 likes. At this moment, the fatty seemed to have forgotten about the danger around him. He looked at the scene excitedly. Yan Feng was also stunned. Then, his face darkened and his eyes turned cold. He didn't expect that an ant-like person would dare to speak to him like that. Was he not afraid of death? However, when he saw Zhao Shui at the side, he suddenly had a look of realization. Brat, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have a 7th level honored realm protecting you. As long as I want to kill you, no one can save you. Even if you have a 7th level honored realm protecting you, it's no exception. Yan Feng's voice was cold. In his opinion, Lin Xian dared to be so arrogant because of Zhao Shui, a 7th level honored realm, standing beside him. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to be so arrogant even if he was given 10 guts. Is that so? Don't be so full of yourself. Otherwise, you'll be slapped in the face. Lin Xian didn't back down in the slightest. You're courting death. Yan Feng was finally enraged. The other party was just an ant. Yet, he kept provoking him. This was intolerable. Therefore, he decided to strike fiercely and destroy the other party. In the next moment, he attacked. Chapter 1143. He did not want to waste his time on an ant. He waved his hand and a bright light shot out from his palm. It was like countless rays of divine light that shot forward. Every ray of light turned into a wave that shook the void like the Milky Way. At this moment, the sky was completely covered. Only 5 Milky Way waves could be seen descending from the sky, emitting an unparalleled light. The 5 rays of light all rushed towards Lin Xian. In his opinion, any one of the rays of light could kill the ant in front of him. However, in order to vent his anger, he decided to use the 5 rays of light to crush Lin Xian. Behind him, the fatty's eyelids twitched when he saw this. Milky Way palm art! Looks like Yan Feng is really angry. His opponent is a level 5 brat and he actually used the Milky Way palm art. Should I save him? The fatty's eyes kept darting around. However, he shook his head in the next moment. Forget it. The Milky Way palm art is so powerful. I can't save him even if I go up. Moreover, the brat seems to have a level 7 honorable with him. He should be fine. After thinking for a long time, the fatty did not make a move. The Milky Way in front of him had already enveloped Lin Xian. It looked like it was about to explode and crush Lin Xian. However, at this moment, Zhao Shui made her move. She waved her slender hand and there was a dull sound in the void. A blazing ray of light exploded like the sun and shot towards the 5 Milky Way palm art. Instantly, a terrifying energy exploded and the 5 Milky Way palm art evaporated in the air. What? She broke it so easily? The fatty was stunned when he saw this scene. He did not expect the lady in white to be so terrifying. She broke the Milky Way palm art with just a lift of her hand. Yan Feng's face darkened. His gaze was as sharp as a knife as he stared at the two of them. He did not expect to not be able to kill the ant in front of him with one move. At the same time, it angered him. On the other hand, Lin Xian looked ahead and sneered. I told you not to be so full of yourself. Otherwise, you will be slapped in the face later. Look, now you are slapped in the face. Lin Xian's sarcasm made Yan Feng even angrier. In the next moment, he snorted coldly and stretched out his hand to grab Lin Xian. This palm was extremely domineering and sharp, directly enveloping the entire space. A terrifying aura surged in the air, as if it wanted to completely refine Lin Xian. Zhao Shui was about to attack again when Lin Xian stopped her. Forget it, don't do anything. Judging from this aura, this fellow is probably not weaker than the mysterious venerable from before. If we were to fight with him, both sides might suffer. From the looks of it, this place isn't far from the sky serene bird, so we shouldn't be impulsive. Hearing this, Zhao Shui also lowered her jade-like hand. Because Lin Xian was right, it was best to conserve their strength and wait until they entered the core area. Then what should we do? Let's go. Lin Xian shook his head and pulled Zhao Shui back. The two of them were like lightning, instantly leaving the range of the gigantic palm. In the next moment, everything in the area was refined by the terrifying palm. The mountains and trees all collapsed, and a terrifying deep hole appeared in the ground. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not stop, and they escaped into the distance. Humph, want to leave? Not so easy! Yan Feng's voice was cold. He would not let them leave so easily. Since they dared to offend him, he would definitely kill them. In the next moment, he put his hands behind his back and quickly chased after them. F***CK, don't come over here! In front of him, the fatty saw Lin Xian and Zhao Shui flying towards him, and his eyelids twitched. Brother, there were so many ways for you to fly, but you chose to fly towards me. You must be doing this on purpose. The fatty was on the verge of tears. However, seeing that he could not change the situation, he turned around and ran without another word. The green shoes on his feet emitted a misty light, allowing him to move as fast as lightning and as fast as the wind. As he ran, he shouted, Brother, behind me, you're going to get me killed! Lin Xian rolled his eyes when he heard Lin Xian's words. After all, Lin Xian was the one who lured that terrifying person over. In the next moment, endless light exploded from his feet, and his speed increased exponentially. Soon, he caught up with the fatty. F***CK, so fast! The fatty was shocked. He did not expect Lin Xian and Zhao Shui to be so fast. This made him extremely surprised. After all, the shoes on his feet were not ordinary. Because of these shoes, he was able to escape from Yan Feng's pursuit. However, he did not expect the man and woman in front of him to be as fast as him. One could only imagine how powerful their movements were. Seems like the two of them aren't ordinary people either. Little Fatty's eyes darted around before he chuckled. My name is Zhou Qingho. How should I address you? Zhou Qingho? Lin Xian looked at the little fatty and thought to himself. You weigh a ton, so you're not light. Then, he smiled and said, I'm Lin Xian. This is Zhao Shui. Zhao Shui! The fatty looked at her for a while. He could not help it. Zhao Shui was too beautiful. However, when he saw Zhao Shui's cold face, he felt a chill in his heart, and quickly looked away. I'm a disciple of Mary Wood's. What about you? Mary Wood's disciple? No wonder he had so many treasures on him. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect the fatty to be a disciple of the House of Kings. Mary Wood's was also a disciple of the House of Kings. Its strength was not inferior to the Shen family and the Murong family. It could be said to be very powerful. We're from Senma College, Lin Xian said. He did not mention Zhao Shui's Su Tian faction. Even if he did, the fatty would not know. So you're a disciple of Senma College. No wonder you're so strong. The fatty began to worm his way into being friends. He looked at the two of them and said softly, why don't the three of us work together to kill him? I've always disliked that man. If it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't beat him, I wouldn't have let him go so easily. The fatty gritted his teeth. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot in the hands of that man. No. Lin Xian saw that the fatty's cultivation had reached the sixth sky of Venerable. This cultivation was very strong among the younger generation. However, compared to people like Zhao Shui and Yan Feng, he was still lacking. However, he was able to escape from Yan Feng. This was enough to show that the fatty was not as simple as he looked. No! The fatty was stunned. He thought that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui would fight. He did not expect them to reject him so decisively. Then what do we do? Do we keep running? Yes, let's run in another direction. Lin Xian looked around and began to circle around. He did not want to be too far away from the heavenly netherbird. Otherwise, he would have to run again. Behind them, Yan Feng's face was gloomy. He gritted his teeth in anger. He did not expect the three of them to be so fast. Even with his strength, he could not catch up. This made him very angry. Chapter 1144. Damn you, don't let me catch you. Otherwise, I'll pull out your tendons and skin you alive. He was about to go mad with anger. Previously, the little fatty had relied on a pair of green shoes to escape from his pursuit. Yet now, a brat at the fifth heavenly layer of the exalted realm was actually able to run so fast. It was beyond his expectations. With a roar, Yan Feng raised his arm and slashed forward with his fingers like a blade. Instantly, the void split and a huge blade light formed in the sky and slashed forward. Damn, that lunatic is attacking again! Feeling the surging spiritual energy behind him, the little fatty's expression changed. Once again, he infused his spiritual energy into the shoes, and his speed increased a little. Lin Xian was also surprised. Firstly, the little fatty's green shoes made him think highly of it. He did not expect the treasure to be better than he had imagined. Secondly, he was even more shocked by the blade light behind him. It was too terrifying. The sharp aura was not weaker than his. What a terrifying blade intent! Zhao Shui exclaimed. Of course! The little fatty in front did not even turn his head, but his voice floated out. That guy is crazy. He cultivated a blade soul and has an earth-rank blade technique. It can be said that his combat strength is off the charts. Among the seventh heaven supremacies, there are very few who are his match. Earth-rank martial arts! Hearing that, Lin Xian was shocked. Then, he rolled his eyes. Since the other party was so powerful, why did you say that we would work together to fight back? Wasn't that clearly a scam? In the next moment, the huge blade light enveloped the three of them. Damn it, I didn't dodge! The little fatty's face was sullen. Finally, he gritted his teeth and activated the armor on his body. Immediately, the armor shone and formed a strong defense. Needless to say, the little fatty's body was full of treasures. The green shoe's speed was even comparable to an earth-rank movement technique. At this moment, the dark purple armor activated by the little fatty also displayed an extremely strong defense. The terrifying blade light collided with the armor and made a clanging sound, but it did not tear through the defense. It seemed that this armor was also an extremely powerful treasure. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were also shocked. They quickly used their defensive techniques. That's right, that saber light is very terrifying. You must be careful, little Fatty reminded from the front. Then, he turned around and saw a scene that shocked him. This was because he realized that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were both enveloped by the saber radiance, but the two of them were completely fine. This made him extremely surprised. One had to know that the armor he was wearing was extraordinary. That was why it was able to block the saber ray. However, the two people behind him were just like him, safe and sound. The white-clothed woman was fine. She was a 7th heavenly layer Venerable Realm cultivator, so she should be able to withstand the saber light. But what's going on with that guy with the ancient sword on his back? He's clearly only at the 5th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm, yet he was able to block it. Is that red armor also a supreme treasure? Little Fatty stared at the red lotus armor on Lin Xian's body, and his eyes kept darting around. Lin Xian, on the other hand, didn't notice the expression on Fatty's face. He was currently resisting the blade light while using his soul power to quickly study the blade light. This was because he realized that the saber radiance contained dense water element and saber soul power. It was soft but firm, and it was extremely sharp. This gave him a lot of inspiration. If he studied it more, he would be able to gain a deeper understanding of the attributes. At the back, Yan Feng, the peerless genius from the Palace of Gods of War, had a gloomy expression. He did not expect his saber to be ineffective against the three of them. I'd like to see how long you can hold on. With a cold snort, he used his hand as a saber again and slashed out a shocking saber radiance. The ground shattered and the sky collapsed. The terrifying saber radiance swept across the front. Damn it, he's indeed a lunatic! Little Fatty cursed when he saw that Yan Feng was unwilling to give up. On the other hand, the red lotus armor on Lin Xian's body shone even brighter. It emitted a scarlet radiance, forming a strong defense that quickly blocked the saber radiance. Not only that, but his eyes also became brighter and brighter, like stars. So that's what happened. I understand now. Lin Xian's lips curled into a gratified smile. Understand? What do you understand? Little Fatty was shocked when he heard this. Could it be that this guy had been studying the saber radiance? What the hell? Just how much mental energy does he have? Doesn't he know that his life could be in danger at any time? Little Fatty was completely convinced. He had never seen such a person. In such a dangerous situation, he still had the time to study other people's martial arts. Lunatic, damn it, another lunatic! Little Fatty shook his head continuously, as if he was hopeless. When Yan Feng saw this, he was so angry that he trembled. Not only was a level 5 brat not injured by him, but he was also studying his martial arts. This was definitely a provocation. Brat, you're too arrogant! Yan Feng's voice was cold as his aura exploded. A sharp saber soul power emerged from his body. The aura was too terrifying. It was as if a peerless heavenly saber had been unsheathed, causing the entire void to collapse. Oh no, this is the power of the saber soul! When Little Fatty sensed this power, his scalp went numb, and his face changed drastically. Oh no, Yan Feng is going to get serious! Little Fatty was about to cry. If it was a normal power, he could still withstand it. However, if Yan Feng used the power of the saber soul, he would not be able to withstand it. One should know that he was only a level 6 honorable. Although he had treasures on him, he would not be able to withstand the power of the saber soul. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's faces changed as well. This was because this power was several times stronger than the previous saber radiance. Even a level 7 honorable would not be able to withstand it. Die, you ants! Yan Feng's voice was cold as the power of the saber soul in his body exploded. A shocking saber radiance was slashed out. Damn it, speed up! Little Fatty roared angrily as he channeled all his spiritual power into the green shoes on his feet. Then, the green shoes released a dazzling green light. It was as if they had grown wings and carried him into the sky. In an instant, he disappeared from where he was. Lin Xian snorted as he activated the Red Lotus armor with all his might. A huge armor shadow formed and covered him and Zhao Shui. Clang! There was a violent sound of metal colliding and the entire world shook. The huge armor also shook and countless ripples appeared on its surface. However, what was shocking was that it did not shatter. Seeing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he said to Zhao Shui, "Let's get out of here quickly." "Okay." Zhao Shui nodded. Then, the two of them used their movement skills and sped up. Their bodies were like lightning as they charged into the distance. "Trying to escape? Not so fast." Yan Feng snorted as he formed a claw with his 5 fingers and clawed forward. Every finger of his seemed to have turned into a heavenly saber and was about to envelop Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Chapter 1145. Returning Wind-Whisking Willow Sword. Lin Xian shouted coldly as streaks of sword qi shot out from his body. They circled around his body and charged forward. The sword qi were like willow branches. The green branches were extremely soft. On the willow branches there were golden leaves. They were as sharp as sword radiance, and were unstoppable. The willow branches of sword qi circled around him and spun rapidly. They formed a huge semicircle that enveloped Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, resisting the shocking sword radiance. The returning wind-whisking willow sword was the Lin family's ultimate skill. However, it was powerful when used by the spiritual detecting realm. Once one entered the honorable realm, it would be useless. However, Lin Xian had just comprehended the softness with toughness from Lin Xian. When he used it now, the originally dim martial art became magical again. In the next moment, the two collided and the entire void let out a cracking sound. The willow branches of sword qi were like a breeze that contained the power of the wind. On the other hand, the golden leaves contained the power of the dragon sword soul and were extremely sharp. The perfect combination of the two unleashed a miraculous power that blocked the shocking saber light. At that moment, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui charged out of the range of the sword radiance and flew into the distance. "What? He blocked it?" Both Little Fatty and Yan Feng were shocked by this scene. Little Fatty did not expect Lin Xian to be able to block the sword qi. It was unbelievable. Yan Feng was even more furious. His handsome face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had already used the power of his sword soul. Even a 7th heaven honorable would not be able to block it. However, he did not expect that. His opponent, a 5th heaven honorable realm brat, would block it for no reason. This made him extremely shocked. "Damn it! What does this brat have? How can he block the power of my sword soul?" Yan Feng gritted his teeth and said. Looking at the two disappearing figures, he snorted and was about to chase after them. However, just as he moved, Little Fatty beside him ran in the opposite direction of Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. "Damn it!" Seeing this, Yan Feng became even more furious. After struggling for a moment, he finally gave up on killing Lin Xian and turned to chase after the Little Fatty. Because the Little Fatty had discovered his secret, he had to get rid of him to prevent the news from leaking out. His expression hardened, and like a beam of blue light, he instantly shot towards Little Fatty. "Mother asterisk cur! You're actually chasing me? Why don't you chase after those two?" When Little Fatty saw the lunatic chasing after him, he immediately cursed loudly. However, although he was cursing, his speed did not slow down at all. Running all the way, Little Fatty finally saw another group of people. He had chosen this direction because he wanted to get rid of Yan Feng and because Lin Xian had sent him a message. This was because before Lin Xian left, he had sent a voice transmission to Little Fatty, telling him to head in this direction, saying that he would definitely be able to escape from danger. Little Fatty originally thought that Lin Xian could lure Yan Feng away, but later he realized that he was wrong. Yan Feng did not leave, and in the following time, he did not meet anyone else. Immediately, he cursed Lin Xian in his heart. But now, he was very grateful to Lin Xian, because he saw a group of people ahead. "Elder, second brother, big brother! You're here!" Seeing those people, Little Fatty happily cheered. because that group of people was none other than the people of Merry Woods. It seemed that this guy was more reliable than he had imagined. If I escape in this direction, I will really be able to see my clansmen. Little Fatty did not hate Lin Xian at all now, and even felt a little grateful. Ching Ho, what's wrong with you? Why is your face so pale? A Merry Woods elder anxiously asked. Sigh, elder, don't mention it. There's a lunatic chasing after me. Little Fatty's face was full of anger. Luckily I ran quickly, otherwise I would not be able to see you now. What? Someone dares to hurt you? Immediately, the elder was enraged. Beside him, the other Merry Woods disciples also coldly shouted. Who is so blind to dare bully our Merry Woods people? Does he not want to live any more? Ching Ho, tell me, who bullied you? I will help you. The elder also said in a deep voice. It's a lunatic, the famous lunatic Yen from the Palace of Gods of War. Little Fatty was constantly panting. Running all the way here, he had used up a lot of his spiritual energy. Lunatic Yen from the Palace of Gods of War? Is it that peerless genius Yen Feng? Many disciples exclaimed. The elder's face also darkened, and he quickly asked, Is it really Yen Feng? Yes, it's him. Little Fatty said. Why did you provoke that lunatic for no reason? The elder's face was full of resentment. Don't you know that guy is mentally unstable? Little Fatty's mouth immediately twitched. What the hell, what's going on? Didn't you say you would help me take revenge? Why are you talking about me now? However, at this time, an unusually sharp aura suddenly came from behind, as if the entire space could not withstand it. Not good, that lunatic is chasing after us. When Little Fatty felt that aura, he jumped in fright and immediately hid behind the elder. In the next moment, an arrogant figure appeared, floating in the void, coldly looking down at the group of people from the Merry Woods. His lightning-like eyes stared at Little Fatty. No matter where you run to, you can't escape death. Yen Feng's voice was cold. Ah, damn lunatic, I can't beat you, but I'm not afraid of you now. Come over if you have the ability, we'll beat you to death. Little Fatty waved his fist. You're talking about this group of people? Yen Feng showed a look of disdain. Since that's the case, I'll kill them all. Hearing this, the hearts of the disciples from the Merry Woods trembled, because they felt a terrifying murderous aura coming from the figure above them. As for the elder and the other elders, they coldly snorted, their faces gloomy. The other party was too arrogant, he did not put them in his eyes at all. No matter what, they were still members of the House of Kings. Although the other party was a peerless genius and powerful, they had more people on their side. If a fight really broke out, it was not certain who would win. Lunatic, don't be so arrogant. I advise you to leave quickly, otherwise don't blame us for being rude. An elder from the Merry Woods coldly snorted. Rude? I'd like to see how rude you are going to be. Yen Feng was extremely arrogant, his black hair fluttering in the wind. Like a lunatic, he stretched out a large hand to grab Little Fatty. The palm covered the sky and the sun, and there were sharp saber lights circling around its fingers, which even enveloped the elder. You're courting death! Seeing this, the elder was furious, and punched upwards. This punch was like a ferocious tiger, shaking the void, and instantly collided with the sky-covering hand. Rumble! In the next moment, a terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. On top of that huge hand, there were blade rays that quickly crisscrossed, containing the energy of a blade's soul, instantly slicing apart the huge shadow of the fist. Chapter 1146. Pung pung! A series of explosions rang out. The elder from Merry Woods kept retreating, causing the ground to crack. Then, a look of shock appeared on his face. He did not expect his opponent to be so strong that he could suppress him. The surrounding warriors of the Merry Woods were also extremely shocked when they saw this. They had never thought that their elder would be targeted in just one move. It was too hard to be confident. After all, his opponent was just a young man. This lunatic was too heaven-defying. After the initial shock, the elder's face turned gloomy. His opponent was too arrogant. Did he think that there was no one in Merry Woods? Kid, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can ignore everything just because you're strong. Merry Woods is not something you can provoke. The elder's voice was cold. In the next moment, his body emitted a blazing light, as if he was a bright sun. A blurry figure quickly rolled behind him, and then condensed into form. It was a goshawk. Its body was black, as if it was an ancient demonic beast. The goshawk's body emitted a terrifying aura, causing people to tremble. Especially its eyes, they were sharp and cold, as if they were real. This goshawk was the martial spirit of the elder from Merry Woods. He was too angry, so he quickly released his martial spirit. Sky-shaking eagle! This is the elder's martial spirit! Looks like the elder is going to use his full strength. A group of Merry Woods disciples were shocked. Then, their eyes were filled with excitement. They believed that as long as their elder released his martial spirit, he would be able to get rid of this lunatic. Little Fatty was also nervous. His hands were constantly clasping as he muttered, "Get rid of him! Get rid of him! We must get rid of this lunatic!" In front of him, Yanfeng's eyes were cold, as if he was the Grim Reaper. "What? You're so desperate that you've released your martial spirit?" His voice was calm and even had a hint of frivolity. It was obvious that he did not take his opponent seriously. "Since that's the case, I won't play with you anymore," Yanfeng said coldly. In the next moment, he grasped the demon slayer at his waist. Suddenly, his entire body became extremely sharp. It was as if he was no longer a human, but a peerless divine blade. No one dared to look at him directly. At this moment, the surrounding warriors were all trembling because the aura was too terrifying. It was as if an invisible saber light was about to cut them in half. "Die, you old bastard!" Yanfeng's voice was cold. In the next moment, he quickly drew his saber. A sonorous sound rang out, causing the entire world to tremble. Then, a blue light appeared in the sky like a canopy and spread out in all directions. The elder of the Merry Woods also let out a long roar, and with the martial spirit behind him, he quickly rushed forward. With a bang, the entire world shook violently. The ground cracked open, and a crack that was almost 1,000 feet long appeared under their feet, spreading into the distance. At the point of collision, spatial cracks appeared. Numerous black holes flickered in the sky, as if they were deep abysses. The surrounding martial artists cried out in alarm and quickly retreated because that energy was too terrifying. If they were affected by it, they would lose their lives. The little fatty also screamed and quickly activated the green shoes on his feet. Like a green gust of wind, he instantly left the battlefield. However, his eyes were fixed on the center. After an intense collision, a muffled groan was heard. Immediately after, the energy in front of them exploded, and two figures appeared. Could it be that the winner has been decided? Everyone was shocked and looked forward nervously. They wanted to know what the result was. The battle had ended so quickly that it was beyond their imagination. However, an even more shocking scene appeared. The one who was sent flying was not Yanfeng from the Palace of Gods of War, but the elder of the Merry Woods. What? How is this possible? The disciples of the Merry Woods were stunned. They could not believe it. Their elder was a 7th-rank honorable realm, and he had even summoned his martial spirit. He was extremely powerful, but he was still defeated. How strong was Yanfeng? Everyone looked at this scene and felt their scalps go numb. Damn it! The little fatty's face was also gloomy. He gritted his teeth and quickly flew towards the injured elder. "Elder, are you all right?" The little fatty quickly took out 2 blue pills and fed them to the elder. "I did not expect that kid to be so strong. He could even defeat my martial spirit so easily. Ching Ho, you should leave quickly," the elder of the Merry Woods said weakly. Although the Merry Woods was also the House of Kings and no one dared to provoke them, that was only for ordinary people. Their family's reputation was useless against this lunatic in front of them. "Damn it, let's fight it out with him. I don't believe that he can defeat so many of us." The little fatty gritted his teeth and glared at the front. He was too angry. The other party was too arrogant. Now that they were at their door, they were still unwilling to let go. I want to let him know the power of the merry woods. Don't be rash. The injured elder stopped the little fatty and said in a low voice, You are not his opponent now. Leave quickly and find our people. Then you will be safe. Yan Feng sneered. What, you still want to resist? If you really dare to attack, I don't mind killing all of you. His expression was arrogant, as if he was a lunatic. What arrogance! Who dares to destroy the merry woods? However, at this moment, a cold snort came from afar. Following which, countless powerful auras rushed over. It's the sixth elder, they are here! Hearing this voice, the disciples of the merry woods all cheered. The little fatty and the injured elder also heaved a sigh of relief. Because their reinforcements had arrived, they were safe. Yan Feng frowned. He did not think that the other party would come at this time. This was not good news for him. After all, he did not have much time to waste here. With a cold snort, Yan Feng raised his long sword and slashed down again. A blue sword light flew out and swept through the heaven and earth like a huge wave. It was very terrifying. In an instant, it enveloped the little fatty in front. Feeling this aura, all the disciples, including the little fatty's face, changed. They could not escape at all. At this moment, a surge of energy came from afar. A palm as big as a mountain suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Then, with a terrifying posture, it fiercely attacked the sword light. Pung! The two collided, creating a shocking sound. Then, the huge palm was cut open. However, the blade light also rapidly weakened. In the end, it dissipated into the surroundings. In the next moment, a group of people quickly arrived. This group of people were the cultivators of the merry woods. At this moment, they had arrived in time to provide assistance. The leader of the group had a powerful aura. Compared to the injured elder, he was even stronger. When he saw Yan Feng in the distance, he immediately frowned. The merry woods does not seem to have any grudges with the palace of gods of war. Why are you attacking? If you don't give me an explanation today, don't leave. Chapter 1147. Even if the other party was a peerless genius from the palace of Ares, they would not be afraid because the merry woods were not afraid of the palace of Ares. Therefore, they had to get back at them. At this moment, another group of people rushed over from the horizon. When Yan Feng saw this group of people, his face turned ugly. It was because the group of people who had arrived later were all from the Murong family. The one leading them was Murong Qinchin, who was wearing a purple robe and looking as beautiful as a goddess. Yan Feng did not know why Murong Qinchin was here, but he knew that the other party was not on good terms with the palace of Ares. If the Murong family came to Merrywood's aid, he would have to leave today. What happened? Murong Qinchin asked as soon as she arrived. Beauty Murong is here too. Fatty jumped out and quickly explained. For the rest of the time, he recounted the entire process with exaggerated details. You're saying that he attacked a person in green with an ancient sword? Murong Qinchin asked in a low voice. Yes, but that guy was wearing a bright red armor and was not injured. It's strange that a kid in the fifth heaven could survive a lunatic's attack. It's really shocking. Murong Qinchin's face turned cold. If she was not wrong, the young man that Fatty described was Lin Xian. This damn lunatic, how dare he attack Lin Xian? Thinking of this, Murong Qinchin clenched her fists under her sleeves. Then she looked at the Merry Woods elder. How do you want to settle this? Of course we want justice. Don't try to persuade me. The Merry Woods elder thought that Murong Qinchin wanted to stop the fight. But in the next moment, he was stunned. Not only him, but everyone was stunned. Murong Qinchin's face was as dark as water. She said in a low voice, Stop the fight? I'm not interested in that. I plan to attack together with you. Attack together? The Merry Woods elders were also stunned, but then they were overjoyed. With Murong Qinchin's help, their chances of success would definitely increase. When the little fatty heard this, his face was filled with shock. What was this girl doing? She actually wanted to attack Man as well? That Man had never offended her. He had a confused look on his face and didn't understand at all. Yan Feng didn't understand either, but his face looked terrible. Murong Qingqing didn't just want to fight, he wanted to bring the whole Murong family with him. I feel that to deal with such a lunatic, we shouldn't fight him one-on-one. Why don't we gang up on him? Good idea, I like it. Fatty clapped his hands and began to organize the disciples of Mary Woods. He had been chased by Yan Feng all this while, and he had been feeling extremely sullen. Now that he could retaliate, he was naturally excited. Moreover, he knew that Yan Feng was going to be in trouble this time. Not to mention the enormous strength of the two House of Kings, just the combined strength of Murong Qingqing and a group of elders was enough to make Yan Feng unable to resist. The reason for that was because no matter how powerful his opponent was, he was still only a 7th layer exalted. Therefore, they were very confident this time. Yan Feng's face was gloomy. Although he was arrogant, he was no fool. Therefore, he turned around and flew into the distance. Trying to run? Not so fast. Murong Qingqing activated the true Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal and unleashed a shocking attack. A huge phoenix covered the sky and spread its wings, covering a radius of 1,000 miles. The elders of Mary Woods also began to attack, and surging spiritual energy quickly rushed forward. In an instant, a great battle broke out. If he had the chance to start over, Yan Feng would never have chased after this little fatty. Because he would never have thought that this would happen. Now, he was surrounded by a few 7th layer exalted and a group of 6th layer exalted realm elders. Finally, there were countless young disciples on the periphery. Although they were like ants to him, the combined attack of so many people was not to be underestimated. Under the combined attack of so many people, his blood was churning, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. His entire body was heavily injured. Ah, damn it! Yan Feng roared in anger and frustration. It wasn't that he wasn't strong, but that this group was too strong. No matter who came, they would not be able to stop them. Mary Woods, Murong family, I will remember this! Yan Feng gritted his teeth. Then, without hesitation, he summoned his saber soul and became one with his saber. He turned into a shocking saber light and rushed into the sky to escape. He's running away! Oh, Man Yan is running away! The disciples were excited. Damn Man, who asked you to chase after me? Now you know that I'm not to be trifled with. Little Fatty had a smug look on his face as well. As for Yan Feng's threat before he left, the two families did not take it to heart. Their strength was not weaker than the Palace of Ares, so they were not afraid of revenge. Moreover, the other party was the one who provoked them first. No matter which side they were on, they were all victims and had enough reason to attack. The elders of Mary Woods also showed gratified smiles, but then they glared fiercely at the little fatty. Ching Ho, didn't we warn you not to cause trouble here? I swear, I didn't provoke that man. The little fatty raised his hand and swore. Why did that man want to kill you? That's because I found a secret. The little fatty said proudly. Secret? What secret? Everyone was interested. A secret that could make Yan Feng offend Mary Woods and kill him must be extraordinary. Even the people from the Murong family looked over curiously. Little Murong girl, thank you for your help this time. Why don't we discuss it together? The elders of Mary Woods invited. Okay. Murong Qingqing did not refuse. She was also very curious about the secret. To be able to make Yan Feng kill him at all costs. Seeing that everyone was here, the little fatty said, a while ago, there was a huge commotion in the secret territory. You all should know about it. An ancient demonic beast has escaped from the underground seal. This news, I've heard about it. A few elders nodded. Because the commotion was too big, even if they did not see it with their own eyes, many people still felt the shocking waves. The news I want to tell you is related to this ancient beast. Because I saw this ancient beast with my own eyes. What? You saw it? This time, everyone was shocked. I saw it. The little fatty said with lingering fear. It was too terrifying. Just the aftershock alone could kill a 7th level venerable. Fortunately, it only flew past quickly. Otherwise, if it wanted to attack, that man and I would be dead. Oh? That man was there too. What was it? Everyone was very curious. Chapter 1148. Heaven-ranking savage beast, Heavenly Netherbird. Heavenly Netherbird, it's actually this savage beast. Rumor has it that it has the bloodline of the great Xia Dragonfinch. These people were all warriors of the House of Kings, so they were not unfamiliar with the legends of the Heavenly Netherbird. Therefore, when they found out that there was a Heavenly Netherbird in the secret territory, they were all extremely shocked. So that's how it is. I think the secret territory is named after the Heavenly Netherbird. One of the older generation figures sighed. They had entered this secret realm many times, but they had never discovered that there was actually an ancient ferocious beast sealed here. It seems that we have to be careful this time. We have to avoid that savage beast. The elders were prepared to warn the younger generation not to cause trouble. However, little Fatty shook his head. No, we can't avoid it. Instead, we have to find it. What? You want to provoke that savage beast? You don't want to live anymore. An elder glared at him. Little Fatty smiled bitterly. Of course I do. I also know how powerful that savage beast is. However, we have to find that savage beast because the Heavenly Netherbird is running towards a certain place. A place? Where? The core area of the secret territory. The core area! Hearing this, everyone was stunned and then sucked in a breath of cold air. This news was too shocking. They knew that the secret territory was huge, but they didn't know where the complete secret territory was. However, they guessed that there would definitely be a core area here, and the things there would definitely surpass the other areas. Moreover, they guessed that the core area was left behind by the creator of the secret territory, an ancient peerless expert. Perhaps there would be the legacy and cave of the ancient peerless expert. And now, the Heavenly Netherbird was also running towards the core area. Ching Ho, are you sure about this? The elder of the Merry Woods asked in a deep voice. This news was too important, and they had to be sure before they could act. After all, the Heavenly Netherbird was extremely terrifying. If they weren't careful, they could be wiped out. Most likely, because I was following behind that man and saw that he was very excited. I think he must have heard some rumors. Moreover, it turns out that my guess was right. That's because that man ran after the Heavenly Netherbird. I was chasing after him, but he discovered me halfway, so he chased me all the way. Hearing this, everyone basically believed it. That was because the Palace of War was also a house of kings. Perhaps they knew some kind of secret. And judging from the man's reaction, it was very likely that he knew. Let's work together. That place isn't something one or two of us can break through. Merrywood's elder said to Murong Chinching. Agreed. Murong Chinching nodded. She also knew that the core area was extremely dangerous, so working together was necessary. Next, the two families began to carefully research various countermeasures. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had managed to shake off Yan Feng's pursuit and were quickly traversing through the forest. Then, they adjusted their route and chased after the Heavenly Netherbird. However, this time, they were very careful. Furthermore, they were not in a hurry. They knew that the two of them were not the only ones chasing after them. There was also the powerful Yan Feng. They had to make sure it was safe before they could go on their way. On a green mountain peak, the two of them sat cross-legged. They had just rushed for a day, so they planned to rest and cultivate for the rest of the day. And now, Lin Xian was fully focused on comprehending the sword technique that he had comprehended. Previously, Yan Feng's sword technique had given him a lot of inspiration. Furthermore, after some research, he was finally able to fuse the essence of wind and the essence of metal, creating the new returning wind-whisking willow sword. That sword was very strange. It was soft yet firm, making it impossible to guard against. Not only that, Lin Xian also began to fuse different essences together, creating many more unique sword techniques. It could be said that in the past, Lin Xian's combat strength had reached the pinnacle. But now, after this, his combat style had also reached an extremely diverse range. Although his cultivation did not increase, his combat strength had greatly increased. This was a very important step for him. Beside him, Zhao Shui was shocked when she saw various forms of sword qi appearing on Lin Xian's fingertips from time to time. Although she was very talented and had reached the seventh heaven of the Venerable Realm at such a young age, she had to admit that the young man in front of her had the best cultivation talent that she had ever seen. In particular, the other party's comprehension ability was simply too terrifying. The sword qi that was formed by the fusion of different essences shocked her. Fortunately, the two of them were friends. Otherwise, if they encountered an enemy like Lin Xian, it would definitely be a headache for any powerful warrior. On the other hand, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He had the great dragon sword soul as a foundation, so his combat strength was outstanding. Now, with the sword technique that was formed by the fusion of different essences, its power could be said to be even more terrifying than before. 3 days later, Lin Xian withdrew his hand and slowly exhaled. Now, he could completely fuse the essences that he had comprehended. This was a big breakthrough for him. Seeing Lin Xian withdraw his hand, Zhao Shui said softly, "It seems that you have gained a lot this time. It is indeed not small." Lin Xian nodded with satisfaction. "How about you? How is your cultivation progress?" "I have already absorbed 1/3 of the energy in the Dragon Ball. So far, I have not been affected by the evil qi," Zhao Shui said. "It seems that you have made good progress too." Lin Xian did not expect Zhao Shui to absorb the energy so quickly. However, he did not feel that Zhao Shui's cultivation had increased by much. He thought that the energy must have all flowed into the virtual sky eye. What exactly was the virtual sky eye? Was it a cultivation technique or Zhao Shui's martial soul? Lin Xian was very puzzled. However, this was a personal secret, so he was embarrassed to ask. Since the two of them had withdrawn from their cultivation, they did not delay and quickly got up to go on their way. However, this time, the two of them were not as careful as before. Instead, they seemed to be rampaging. This was because Lin Xian was too excited. He wanted to find an enemy to practice on. He wanted to see how powerful the sword technique formed by the fusion of different essences was. However, it was obviously impossible to find a single human in this vast forest all of a sudden. Therefore, Lin Xian set his sights on the demonic beasts. Ordinary monsters were not worthy of his attention. At the very least, a 5- or 6-star monster general was enough for him to experiment on. Monsters of this level were not common, but they were easy to find. This was because their monstrous aura could be felt from far away. Moreover, with Zhao Shui beside him, Lin Xian was not worried that he would not be able to find a powerful monster here. Chapter 1149. As expected, with the help of the Void Sky Eye, Zhao Shui quickly discovered a demonic beast. It was a blood lion. It was huge like a small mountain and was surrounded by a murderous aura. Obviously, it was a powerful beast. "I found it. It's a blood lion. Its strength is at the level of a 6-star demon general. Moreover, it seems to be an ancient mutant," Zhao Shui said. Lin Xian was overjoyed when he heard that. He quickly rushed forward. Not long after, he felt a thick wave of demonic qi rushing towards him. The aura was too terrifying. The demonic aura turned into a blood-red mist that filled the entire forest. The blood-red mist contained a terrifying demonic aura and was extremely poisonous. Anyone below the 6th heaven of the Venerable Realm would die upon contact. Even a 6th heaven of the Venerable Realm martial artist would lose a lot of their strength if they were accidentally infected by the poisonous aura. Just by looking at the demonic aura, one could tell how terrifying the demon beast ahead was. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were not afraid at all. Zhao Shui's cultivation was at the 7th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Her strength was far superior to the demon beast ahead. Therefore, she did not care about the red poisonous creatures at all. Although Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the 5th heaven of the Venerable Realm, his combat strength was extremely powerful. He was even more terrifying than a 7th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Therefore, he was not afraid of these poisonous creatures. In the next moment, he used the returning wind willow sword. A jade-green sword chi surrounded him, forming a powerful sword aura that blocked all the poisonous creatures outside his body. The two of them were like immortal kings. They walked in the poisonous gas without being affected at all. Roar! A furious roar that shook the mountains and rivers suddenly came from ahead. Obviously, the blood lion had discovered that humans had entered its territory. This made it extremely furious. In the next moment, a blood-red figure flew over quickly. The ground trembled and endless winds blew in all directions. A blood-red lion the size of a house appeared in front of Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes at the sight of the blood lion. He was eager to fight it. On the other hand, the blood lion revealed a fearful expression because it sensed that the white-clothed woman in front of it was stronger than it. It didn't dare to provoke such a person. Although it was a demonic beast and its physique was stronger than a human's, it still couldn't break through the level suppression. However, what made it feel slightly relieved was that the white-clothed woman in front of it was only looking at it coldly, and had no intention of making a move. On the other hand, a young man in green beside him had an eager expression. A trace of contempt appeared in the blood lion's huge eyes as he looked at the young man in green. As an ancient mutated species, it had long gained sentience, so its intelligence was not inferior to that of ordinary humans. The young man in a green shirt in front of it was only a 5th-layer martial highness, a far cry from it. It could kill such a person with a single slap. It was laughable that the other party dared to use it as a practice partner. It decided that as long as the other party dared to make a move, it would definitely slap the other party to death and quickly flee. It would definitely not give the white-clothed woman a chance to make a move. Lin Xian sneered when he saw the mockery in the blood lion's eyes. Then, he raised his arm and quickly shot out a stream of sword chi. Roar! The blood lion was enraged. It didn't expect that the human ant in front of it would really dare to attack it. In the next moment, it didn't hold back and grabbed forward with a huge claw. Immediately, the sky darkened as sand and stones flew everywhere. The entire sky was covered by the claw. It had not tasted human flesh for a long time, and today was a good day for it. However, in the next moment, the blood lion screamed in pain. That was because its claw had been pierced. A golden swordlight shone like the divine light of the sun and quickly struck its claw. There were also streaks of lightning surrounding the swordlight. The entire sword chi was filled with a fierce and violent aura. In an instant, it pierced through the blood lion's huge claw. Blood splattered in all directions. Not bad, it's more powerful than I imagined. Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. The sword chi was formed by the fusion of the metal and thunder concepts. Both concepts were extremely powerful in terms of attack power, and now that they were fused, they displayed extremely powerful combat power. In just one move, it injured the 6-star demonic beast general with a strong physique. The power of this sword is not bad. Let's call it the Metal Thunder. Lin Xian was very satisfied. On the other hand, the blood lion let out a miserable howl as a look of terror appeared in its huge eyes. It didn't expect the human ant in front of it to be so powerful that he could injure it with a raise of his hand. Could he be a young prodigy of the human race? The blood lion wasn't stupid. When it thought of this possibility, it immediately turned and ran. Previously, it attacked because it thought that the other party was an ant that it could easily kill. However, now that the situation had changed, it naturally didn't dare to attack again. Trying to run? The smile in Lin Xian's eyes deepened when he saw the fleeing figure. With a wave of his arm, several blue sword chi surged out and rushed forward. The sword chi was blue like a gem and was unusually soft. It was like a ribbon that kept dancing in the air. However, if one were to take a closer look, one would be able to see that there were tiny golden rays of light swimming within the blue light. This time, the sword chi was formed by the fusion of the metal and water concepts. There was an unimaginable toughness in the softness. The sword chi danced in the air like water dragons and instantly wrapped around the blood lion's huge body. The sound of metal clattering was heard. In an instant, the blood lion was tied up and fell to the ground. He struggled furiously, and the demonic aura on his body was monstrous. The ground around him cracked and formed cracks that spread in all directions. However, no matter how he struggled, the sword chi on his body was like a strong iron chain that bound him tightly without any signs of loosening. "Let's call this the immortal trapping sword." Lin Xian looked at the scene in front of him and said with satisfaction. Zhao Shui, who was standing aside, was shocked as well. The power of Lin Xian's swordsmanship was beyond her imagination. It seemed that he could perfectly fuse any attribute. The blood lion in front of him fell to the ground and shivered. It now understood that the green-robed young man in front of it was definitely not an ordinary human. This was because it didn't believe that an ordinary fifth heaven venerable could perform such a technique. Sigh, I misjudged him. I really misjudged him. A look of despair appeared in the blood lion's eyes. However, the scene that it had imagined did not happen. The two humans didn't kill it. The green-robed young man waved his hand and the four-sword chi on his body quickly disappeared. Lin Xian didn't kill it. He withdrew the four-sword chi and quickly left with Zhao Shui. Since they knew the power of the fused sword technique, it was time to hit the road. However, they had just crossed two mountains when they heard the sound of fighting in front of them. The sound was right in front of them, and they had to pass by it. Hence, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui increased their speed. Chapter 1150. The landscape in front of them changed drastically. It was no longer a mountain range, but a huge rift valley. It was a bottomless abyss. At that moment, there were several figures fighting fiercely near the huge rift valley. Damn it, our intelligence was wrong. This red-scaled centipede has reached the level of a 7-star demon general. It's an ancient mutated beast. It's extremely powerful. Be careful, don't let its venom touch you. Screams of surprise could be heard. Roar! After the screams of the humans, there was an earth-shattering sound. It was like a demonic sound that pierced through the clouds. This sound was too terrifying. It was far more powerful than the roar of the blood lion. Just this sound alone was enough to make the cultivator's blood boil. Those weaker martial artists vomited mouthfuls of blood. Before this sound could be heard, a huge black figure appeared in front of everyone. It was a red centipede that was hundreds of feet long. It was surrounded by a thick demonic aura. It was obviously a peerless demon. Countless tentacles waved in the air. They were like the hands of a demon, and every attack could split mountains and rivers. What a terrifying demonic aura! Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked when they saw this. This was because the centipede in front of them was too terrifying. Compared to it, the blood lion was like a docile kitten. Not only did they see a terrifying demonic beast, but they also saw a group of people. There were about 20 people in the group. Among them, there were 2 7th-level honorables, 7 to 8 6th-level honorables, and the rest were 5th-level honorables. Such a force was extremely terrifying. They could wipe out an entire area. However, they were not strong enough to deal with this peerless beast. Dodge its tentacle attack! A 7th-level honorable shouted. The void trembled. Countless demonic claws waved in the air like black lightning. In an instant, a few screams were heard. A few 5th-level honorables could not dodge and were instantly pierced by the demonic claws. In fact, 2 6th-level honorables did not manage to escape. Damned beast! Another 7th-level honorable was enraged. He waved the azure sword in his hand rapidly and a sword chi slashed forward. Clang! Clang! These sword chis all slashed onto the red-scaled centipede's body, causing countless sparks to fly. The surrounding ground was also torn apart by the aftershock, forming one abyss after another. However, even though the sword chi was powerful, it only managed to push the red phosphorus centipede back. It did not manage to break the scales on its body. This only angered the red phosphorus centipede even more. It let out an angry roar, opened its bloody mouth, and spat out a black mist. The fog was pitch black, accompanied by ghostly wails and howls. There were also layers of ghostly figures floating around. In an instant, it enveloped many martial artists. Immediately, those martial artists let out miserable howls. "Set up the formation! Quickly set up the formation!" The two 7th-level venerables shouted madly. Instantly, the surviving 6th-level venerables came to their side and quickly formed a formation. After forming the formation, the combat power of these people became stronger, and they quickly resisted the red phosphorus centipede. From afar, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's eyes glimmered as they watched the scene unfold. "Should we attack?" Zhao Shui asked. The centipede had a lot of good stuff on it. "Yes, we should. However, we are not going to attack it," Lin Xian said. "Use your void eye to check if there is a secret cave nearby. These people are no match for the red phosphorus centipede. However, they are still unwilling to leave. This means that there must be something nearby that has attracted them. Even in the face of such danger, they are still unwilling to give up. If it is not a cave, then it must be some kind of supreme-grade spiritual medicine," Lin Xian guessed. Zhao Shui nodded. Then, she activated her void eye and quickly scanned the surroundings of the canyon. "Found it. There is indeed a cave at the bottom of this great rift valley. Moreover, there was a rich spiritual energy in the cave and countless rays of light shining in it. It is there." Lin Xian smiled. "Let's go down and take a look." Then, the two of them moved and quickly flew down the canyon from the other side. "Who is it?" The two 7th-level Honorable Realm cultivators who were fighting frowned and shouted coldly. In the next moment, they saw two figures flying down the canyon at high speed like ghosts. "Damn it! Get back here!" One of the 7th-level Honorable Realm cultivators was enraged, and quickly slashed out a ray of sword chi. However, the sharp sword chi slashed through the air and only left a deep crack in the ground. The two figures quickly dodged. "Ah, damn it!" Those people were completely enraged. They had risked their lives here to pin down the ancient beast. However, someone wanted to take advantage of the situation and sneak down to take the treasure. How could they tolerate this? "I will go and kill him," a middle-aged bald man said. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. This bald man's cultivation level was at the 7th level, and he was one of the two experts here. "If you leave, our array will not be able to last. We will not be able to resist the red phosphorus centipede. We might even be wiped out," the other gray-haired elder who was at the 7th level of cultivation said. "Then what should we do? Do we just watch as the treasure is taken away?" The middle-aged bald man was indignant. The other 6th-level honorables were also indignant. "Don't worry. It's not that easy to get the treasure," the gray-haired elder sneered. "The bottom of the canyon is filled with poisonous gas. Those below the 7th level of Honorable Realm can't resist it. Even a 7th level Honorable Realm cultivator has to be careful. Even if the two of them can resist the poisonous gas and enter the treasure cave, they will be extremely weak by the time they get the treasure. When the time comes, we will strike and quickly snatch the treasure from their hands. Then, we will leave quickly. This is much easier than taking the treasure ourselves. Moreover, judging from the aura of the two figures, one of them is at the 7th level of Honorable Realm while the other is only at the 5th level of Honorable Realm. Such a lineup will not be able to defeat us. When the time comes, it will be easy to snatch the treasure from their hands." Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists smiled maliciously. "All right, let's let the two of them take the treasure first. When they come out, the treasure will be ours." At this thought, the crowd joined forces again to restrain the red phosphorus centipede. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui dodged the sword chi. Their bodies sped up again and they quickly entered the canyon. As soon as they entered the canyon, they felt wisps of black fog surging towards them. The black fog was extremely poisonous. Martial artists below the 7th level of Honorable Realm would not be able to resist it. Even a 7th level Honorable Realm martial artist would be extremely weak if he inhaled it. Fortunately, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were not ordinary people. They had extraordinary means. In an instant, Lin Xian propped up his red lotus armor. Golden vortexes spun around Zhao Shui and absorbed all the surrounding fog. Not only that, they also felt the existence of two soul powers. It was as if they were watching their every move. It seems like we are being watched, Zhao Shui said in a low voice. Chapter 1151. Looks like we're being watched, Zhao Shui said in a low voice. It should be the two 7th level venerables above. It seems like they already know our objective. Lin Xian also frowned. They're probably waiting for us to take out the treasure before snatching it from us. Humph, what a good idea, Lin Xian sneered. Don't use your full strength. Just resist the black fog. Now that they were being watched, they naturally wouldn't reveal their trump cards. What they needed to do was to hide their strength and deceive the two level 7 honorables above. In that case, it would be hard to tell who would snatch the treasure from whom. Then, Lin Xian activated the red lotus armor to hide the blazing light on it and make it less dazzling. At this moment, the red lotus armor looked like an ordinary armor. However, its power didn't decrease at all. Zhao Shui's body also shone brightly and formed a circular light screen that covered the golden vortex. Finally, the two of them flew down carefully. The canyon was very deep and seemed bottomless. The cave was also in the underground abyss. Hence, after flying for a while, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui got rid of the two honorables' surveillance. Hence, they didn't hold back anymore and used all their strength again to rush down. A green sword radiance appeared on Lin Xian's body. It was extremely sharp and cut through the green fog. Countless gusts of wind formed around him and blew away the surrounding black fog. Although the deeper they went, the more terrifying the black fog was. Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul and Wind concept to increase their speed by several times. At such a high speed, they quickly sensed the cave below them. What a rich spiritual power! We're almost there! The two of them sensed the rich spiritual power coming from below, and saw a spot of light not far away. It should be the light emitted by the treasure in the cave. In the next moment, the two of them turned around and arrived at the entrance of the cave. Let's go in and take a look. The two of them didn't hesitate, and quickly entered the cave. Compared to the pitch-black fog outside, it was a completely different world. Lin Xian dashed towards the deepest part of the cave. Soon, his body shook, and his face was filled with ecstasy. Purple Thunder Divine Bamboo! Further ahead, there was a bamboo that was as tall as a person. It was purple all over, like a sparkling purple jade. On top of it, purple lightning circled around it, emitting the power of lightning that made one's heart tremble. Just the power of the lightning was enough to make Zhao Shui take notice. Looking at the surging power of lightning, this purple thunder divine bamboo was at least 5,000 years old. Lin Xian was also ecstatic in his heart. He himself cultivated thunder and lightning. If he could absorb the thunder and lightning on the purple thunder divine bamboo, it would definitely increase his cultivation and strength by a large margin. Not only that, but the violet thunder divine bamboo not only contained powerful lightning energy, it was also incomparably hard. It was the best material for making weapons. For example, a 5,000-year-old purple thunder god could be used to make earth-grade weapons. Lin Xian didn't expect to find such a precious item here. Moreover, it was so old. It was definitely a rare treasure. But in the next moment, he revealed a puzzled look. This was because he was only 20 meters away from the purple thunder divine bamboo, but he still couldn't feel a trace of the power of lightning. This made him very puzzled. With such a terrifying violet thunder divine bamboo, it was likely that everything within 100 miles would be filled with a boundless wild power of thunder and lightning. However, he was still so safe even though he was so close. This was far too strange. Finally, Lin Xian quickly looked around. Indeed, there was a circle of black vines near the purple thunder divine bamboo. They formed an arc and completely surrounded the purple thunder god lord. This black wooden stake was underground. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't have noticed it. Dark Thunder Wood! Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. He had found another treasure. This dark thunder wood could block out the power of lightning. It also had the effect of nourishing the soul and warding off evil spirits. It could be said to be very miraculous. This purple thunder divine bamboo in front of him that could block 5,000 years of lightning was definitely extraordinary. Zhao Shui, this dark wood can nourish the soul and also ward off evil spirits. How about I give it to you? Sure. Zhao Shui nodded. She was also very tempted by the dark thunderwood. This was because this thing could help him suppress the evil aura inside the dragon pearl. Moreover, it could also make his void sky eyes more stable. Therefore, this thing was very useful to him. The two discussed and then prepared to take the treasure. Lin Xian wanted to take the purple thunder divine bamboo first, and then Zhao Shui would take the dark wood. But at this time, Zero suddenly spoke. Kid, you'd better take out the purple thunder divine bamboo along with the roots. Why do you want that? Lin Xian was stunned. Originally, he only wanted to take away the branches above the roots, and then leave the roots here so that they could grow again. Ordinary martial artists would do this when they plucked natural treasures. They would leave the roots so that they could grow again in the future. Therefore, Lin Xian was very confused by Zero's request. Don't worry, I don't want to destroy the purple thunder divine bamboo. I just think that this thing can be planted elsewhere. Elsewhere? Where? Lin Xian frowned. If this thing was taken outside, it would definitely cause a group of 7th level supremacies to go crazy. He didn't want to be chased by a group of people all day long. Kid, do you know what kind of space I'm in? If you plant it in this space, you'll get unexpected results. Zero said coldly. Space? Lin Xian was stunned. Then, he slapped his head. He just remembered that Zero was in a mysterious small sword in his body. It was indeed a special space. Moreover, that space was extremely mysterious. After pondering for a moment, Lin Xian nodded. He knew that Zero must have its reasons for asking. Therefore, in the next moment, he and Zero pulled out the purple thunder divine bamboo along with the soil and quickly planted it in the mysterious small sword space. The purple thunder divine bamboo suddenly appeared in the mysterious small sword. Then, it was planted to the side. Suddenly, the God Race member trembled as if it was extremely excited. In fact, the lightning on it became even more dazzling. It's so magical? Lin Xian's eyes widened. He didn't expect the purple thunder divine bamboo to have such obvious changes as soon as it was planted. Of course, the space in your body is very mysterious. Even I can't see through it, Zero said in a deep voice. You can't see through it? Lin Xian was shocked. He knew that Zero had an extraordinary background and knew many secrets. However, even Zero couldn't see through it. Could it be that the mysterious space in his body really had some shocking secret? Thinking of this, he narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. Chapter 1152. However, he could only see about 100 meters ahead of him. There was a towering tree about 100 meters ahead of him. However, it had already withered. Lord Alcohol used to sit under the tree and drink. Further ahead was a vast expanse of whiteness. It was like chaos. Lin Xian couldn't see through it at all. He originally thought that the space inside was only about 100 meters in size. However, it seemed like that wasn't the case. There might be a wider space behind the white fog. However, he couldn't find out at all because his soul power couldn't penetrate the chaotic fog. As for his real body, he had entered once with Lord Alcohol's help. Other than that, he couldn't enter at all. My cultivation is still not enough. Lin Xian exited the mysterious space. He decided that when his cultivation was strong enough, he would take a closer look at it. However, now wasn't the time. Let's go. Lin Xian exited the space in his body and flew out of the cave. Soon, the two of them were out of the cave. In the beginning, they moved forward quickly. When they were within the detection range of the soul power of the two 7th level supremacies, they concealed their strength again and slowly flew forward. Everyone, pay attention. The two of them are coming up. The bald man who was fighting above said to the warriors beside him. I can sense a lot of strange auras from their bodies. I think they must have obtained some treasures. The gray-haired old man snorted. Looks like the two of them are pretty lucky. Even the kid in the fifth heaven didn't die. Hee, so what? Even if he can avoid the poisonous fog below, he can't avoid our attacks. The other sixth-level supremacies sneered. But the other seventh-level supremacies can't be underestimated. The bald man frowned. It's fine. We've already made preparations. When the two of them come up, we'll lure the red phosphorus centipede over. When the time comes, we'll take advantage of the chaos and join forces to take down those people. When the surrounding people heard the gray-haired old man's suggestion, they were instantly filled with confidence. Not long after, the gray-haired old man suddenly roared. They're here! Attack! Sure enough, there were two silhouettes flying over from the bottom of the canyon. These two figures were naturally Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, as soon as they came ashore, they were fiercely attacked. The two of them snorted and quickly used their movement techniques to dodge the attacks. But soon after they frowned. That was because the two seventh-level venerables had already led their people over. They weren't worried about that. What they were worried about was that those people would attract the red-scaled centipede. These guys are trying to shift the blame to someone else. Zhao Shui's face turned cold. Not necessarily. I don't think the red-scaled centipede was attracted by them. Instead, it seems to be after the treasure. Lin Xian's expression was grave. Lin Xian's guess was right. The red-scaled centipede was indeed here for the treasure. It waved its hundreds of tentacles and quickly slithered through the air. His pitch-black eyes emitted an ice-cold killing intent as he let out a roar that tore apart the heavens and earth. It was truly furious because the other party had snatched away its Violet Thunder Divine Bamboo. He had discovered the Violet Thunder Divine Bamboo decades ago. Furthermore, he had been guarding nearby. He wanted to let the Violet Thunder Divine Bamboo grow for a few more years until it reached 6,000 years old. At that time, he would devour the Violet Thunder Divine Bamboo. That would greatly increase his strength. At that time, he would even possess the power of lightning and be able to control lightning. However, all of this had been destroyed by the two humans in front of him. Especially the young man in green. He could sense the thick aura of the Violet Thunder Divine Bamboo from him. This made him extremely furious. The bald man and the gray-robed elder could naturally sense the red-scaled centipede's rage and immediately sneered. It seems that we don't need to use our tentacles. That beast is already furious. Just watch. Those two thieves will definitely not be able to escape. The treasure will definitely be ours. The group of people sneered. Zhao Shui, use your virtual eyes and try your best to control the red-scaled centipede. Leave the rest to me. At this critical moment, Lin Xian said in a low voice. Don't worry. It might be troublesome to defeat it, but it's easy to confuse it. With that, Zhao Shui formed a hand seal and the virtual eyes quickly formed in the air. A huge eye appeared in the void and shot out a ray of gray light, which quickly entered the red phosphorus centipede's eye. Suddenly, the red-scaled centipede's body stiffened and even its movements became slower. Then, a scarlet color appeared in its huge eyes, and the demonic aura around its body suddenly soared, becoming extremely chaotic. This beast has gone berserk. The bald man and the gray-robed elder were shocked and quickly fled in all directions. They had never expected the red-scaled centipede to go berserk in advance. This was simply too strange. Elder, look above. A sixth-rank honorable screamed. Then, everyone looked at the sky and was shocked. This was because they saw a huge eye in the clouds looking down on them. Moreover, there was a ray of gray light in the eye that seemed to be controlling the black centipede. This is an eye technique. The bald man was shocked. How could this be? She could control an ancient demonic beast. He was too shocked. He did not expect Zhao Shui to be a seventh-rank honorable at such a young age. Moreover, she could control an ancient demonic beast in such a short time. They had seen beast taming and illusion techniques before, but they had never seen anyone who could control an ancient demonic beast in an instant. Moreover, it was a 7-star demon general. Boom! 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 The red-scaled centipede went berserk and attacked in all directions with its tentacles. Immediately, a few 6th-rank honorables were severely injured and were sent flying. No, she is not controlling the demonic beast. She is only affecting the beast. We still have a chance. The gray-robed elder's eyes lit up and he shouted. Listen to my orders. Escape in all directions. Do not gather together. It was obvious that although the red-scaled centipede was berserk, its attacks were scattered and did not have a clear target. Obviously, this was a manifestation of the beast's mental state. In other words, the lady in white was not truly controlling the ancient demonic beast. Hearing the gray-robed elder's words, the surrounding martial artists did not dare to stay and fled in all directions. Treasures were no longer important. Their lives were more important. Trying to escape? Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved his arm and a ray of blue sword chi shot out. The sword chi expanded in the wind and turned into a green sword chi that was a few 100 feet long. It then slashed forward quickly. Immortal trapping sword. Lin Xian used a sword technique that he had just comprehended and slashed forward quickly. In an instant, the green sword chi turned into chains and covered the entire space in front of him. Clang! 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 The martial artists who were escaping collided with the sword chi and were quickly pushed back. What? How is this possible? Chapter 1153. What? How is this possible? Initially, these people were disdainful when they saw the other party attack. This was because the person who attacked was not the lady in white, but another youth who was at martial artist level 5. They did not take this person's attack seriously at all. However, they soon realized that they were wrong. This was because they could not break the sword chi that the other party had used. Not only that, but they were also sent flying back. Damn it! The bald man and the gray-haired old man were furious when they saw this scene. This was because a few level 6 supremacies had been killed by the red phosphorus centipede in an instant. These people were originally able to escape, but it was because of that sword chi that they were forced back. The two of them looked at Lin Xian with murderous intent in their eyes. Originally, they wanted to kill him and snatch the treasure. However, they did not expect the other party's strength to exceed their expectations. Not only did they not manage to snatch the treasure, but they also suffered heavy losses. Damn it, all of you come over! Let's charge out together! The two level 7 supremacies roared crazily. This was because they had discovered that only they could break through the aqua blue sword chi. The other level 6 supremacies could not break through it at all. That was why they had called back the cultivators who had fled in all directions and had them gather towards them. Thinking about the strategy of letting everyone escape separately, the gray-haired old man wanted to slap himself. This was because in the process of gathering, a few more level 6 supremacies were infected by the poison and quickly turned into a pile of bones. These were all their elites. However, they had died in vain. They were heartbroken and could not accept this at all. Finally, when everyone had gathered around them, the two level 7 supremacies quickly split the sword screen in front of them and led everyone out. They had escaped from a hopeless situation. However, there was no joy on their faces. This was because the original team of 20 to 30 people was now left with only 7 or 8 people. More than half of them had died before they had managed to escape. However, the culprit of all this was the young man and woman in front of them. Catch them. We must not let them escape. The two level 7 supremacies gritted their teeth. They swore to tear the other party into pieces. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui would not sit still and wait for death. The two of them turned into 2 streaks of lightning and quickly flew into the distance. As for the pursuit behind them, they did not care at all, as their movement techniques were extremely special. Even a 7th level venerate might not be able to catch up to them. However, after running for a while, they could still hear angry roars coming from behind, which surprised the two of them. How did they catch up? Lin Xian turned around in confusion. Then, he saw that the two 7th level supremacies were not flying. Instead, they were sitting on a small spirit boat. The spirit boat was very small, only 2 meters long. There were exquisite patterns carved on it. At this moment, it was like a shooting star, releasing a dazzling light as it quickly flew forward. So fast! Lin Xian was astonished. He realized that the speed of the spirit boat was not any slower than the shoes on little Fatty's feet. In fact, he might even be stronger than that. Come to think of it, this should also be a type of supreme-grade artifact that could assist in flight. If they relied solely on their movement techniques, the two 7th-level supremacies would not be able to catch up with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, it was different now. With the help of this special spirit boat, their speed was extremely fast, and they were catching up with Lin Xian and Zhao Shui bit by bit. Despicable thief, hurry up and hand over your Dharma treasure, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, you are dead meat! The bald burly man shouted loudly. Beside him, the gray-haired old man also said coldly, Young man, don't make a mistake. Although the treasure is good, you need to be alive to enjoy it. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have some special weapons. You are not qualified to do so in front of us. Say that when you catch up. Lin Xian snorted coldly and increased his speed again. Courting death! Stubborn! The two 7th-level supremacies at the back snorted coldly. At the same time, they quickly injected their spiritual energy into the spirit boat. Immediately, the spirit boat released a dazzling light and increased its speed as well. Furthermore, not only did the two of them catch up this time, they even attacked. A long sword appeared in the gray-haired old man's hand, and he quickly released a ray of sword chi. Instantly, the sword chi was like a raging flame. With a sharp and blazing aura, it quickly slashed forward. Fire-based sword chi? Lin Xian's eyes lit up. With a wave of his arm, a blue sword chi rushed forward. Water-based? A brat in the 5th heaven dared to compete with him in terms of attributes? The gray-haired old man sneered in disdain. Fire and water counter each other. It is impossible to say which of the two attributes is stronger. However, he was a 7th-level supremacy, and Lin Xian was only a 5th-level supremacy. The difference between the two of them was like heaven and earth. Therefore, the gray-haired old man did not take Lin Xian's sword chi seriously at all. Boom! In the next moment, his face turned extremely ugly. That was because the blue sword chi was flying towards him rapidly. Then, it exploded quickly, and the power of lightning surged rapidly. The flaming sword chi that he unleashed was bombarded by the power of thunder and lightning, and was also utterly disintegrated. What? The power of lightning? The gray-haired old man was stunned. He had clearly seen the water-based sword chi just now. Why was there the power of lightning now? Could this brat have two attributes? Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. Brat, no wonder you are so arrogant. It turns out that you have comprehended two attributes. However, these things are useless in front of me. You are dead meat today. The gray-haired old man sneered. I only used 30% of my strength just now. Next, I will let you know what despair is. Is that so? Seems like you have us, Lin Xian said coldly. Of course, no matter what, you only have one 7th-level supremacy, and we have two. Brat, I advise you to hand over the treasures obediently. Perhaps you can leave with a complete corpse. Otherwise, you will die without a burial ground. Is that so? I think you are the unlucky ones. I originally wanted to let you go, but since you came to die, don't blame me. However, if you can obediently hand over the spirit boat under your feet, I might spare your lives. Lin Xian's expression was cold. You are courting death. Presumptuous! Two angry roars were heard. Arrogant brat, you will soon pay the price for your ignorance. The gray-haired old man and the bald man were furious. They had never been provoked like this before. Moreover, the person who provoked them was merely a 5th-level supremacy brat. Attack! the gray-haired old man roared angrily. Then, he charged towards Zhao Shui. On the other hand, the bald man smiled ferociously and blocked Lin Xian. Brat, let me send you on your way today! The bald man's face was ferocious. There was a sharp aura all over his body. He exuded a powerful aura and blocked Lin Xian's path. Chapter 1154. Lin Xian did not say anything else. Instead, he made his move. He pointed his finger, and his fingertip was like a rainbow that surged out quickly. Like a sudden clap of thunder, the sword chi quickly arrived in front of the bald man. Today, I'll let you know what true strength is. Kid, watch carefully. The bald man sneered in disdain. Then, he stretched out his palm and grabbed forward. The palm shone with golden light and was extremely agile. It was like a Buddha. Wherever it passed, the entire void shattered. It was as if it wanted to grab Lin Xian. Crack, 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 crack. The sword chi broke into several pieces in the palm. Ha ha, kid, did you see that? Your attack is nothing in front of me. The bald man sneered. I'll catch you and crush your bones one by one. The golden palm covered the sky and quickly moved towards Lin Xian. I'd like to see how you're going to crush my bones. Lin Xian's expression was cold. In the next moment, he pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back and slashed forward. With a clang, Lin Xian pulled out the Lone Star sword and slashed forward. This time, he did not hold back. The great dragon's sword soul circulated in his body. At the same time, he circulated the metal and lightning concepts and quickly fused them. The sword chi's combat power was extremely strong. The sword chi was like a bolt of lightning that quickly streaked across the sky. Then, the sword chi ruthlessly stood on the giant palm. Child's play. See how I'll break you! The bald man laughed savagely. He had already shattered a strand of Lin Xian's sword chi earlier, so he didn't take this strand of sword chi seriously at all. Because in his opinion, what kind of powerful sword chi could a little thief at the 5th heavenly layer display? Even if Lin Xian used all his strength, he would not be able to hurt him. However, in the next moment, his smug expression disappeared and was replaced by a look of horror. In the end, his entire body began to tremble. A heart-wrenching pain came from his palm. Ah! In the next moment, the bald man screamed and quickly retracted his palm. Suddenly, the huge palm that covered the sky disappeared, leaving behind a trail of blood in the sky and the bald man's miserable shriek. What? Impossible! At the side, the gray-haired elder who was fighting with Zhao Shui heard the voice and immediately turned his head. The next moment, his scalp went numb, and his face was full of shock. Because he saw the most unbelievable scene. The bald man's palm was split open, revealing eerie white bones. Endless blood flowed, dyeing the earth red. They were stunned, truly stunned, because they did not believe that a 5th heavenly layer venerable could injure the bald man. This was simply unheard of. However, it was happening right before his eyes. The bald man was even more shocked. Originally, he didn't put the other party in his eyes, but he didn't expect that the other party's sword chi would be completely different from the previous one. It was simply too fierce, making him tremble incomparably, unable to defend at all. Damn it! How is this possible? How can this brat have such a powerful combat strength? He quickly stopped the bleeding, his eyes full of shock. Impossible! How can a 5th heavenly layer brat hurt me? The bald man's eyes were filled with madness. Then, he stared at the long sword in Lin Xian's hand. Half-Earth rank treasure! It's a half-Earth rank treasure! No wonder it can hurt me! The bald man seemed to have grasped the key point, then revealed a cruel smile. Brat, I admit that I was careless just now and underestimated you. I didn't expect you to have a half-Earth rank treasure. But this time, I won't give you a chance. With that, he shouted coldly, and suddenly, a clanging sound came from his body. Then, a set of black armor appeared on his body, covering his entire body. Supreme grade armor and my defense. I don't believe that your half-Earth rank treasure can break my defense. Once you lose your weapon, you're just an ant in front of me. I'm going to crush you bit by bit. The bald man laughed sinisterly, then rushed over quickly. His palm emitted a blazing light, and a strange rune solidified in his palm, emitting a terrifying energy. Then, he slammed it in front of him. 7 killing light palm. With a slap, a terrifying palm print pressed forward, causing the entire void to collapse. Brat, die! The bald man said ferociously. At the side, the gray-haired old man saw this and sneered. Seeing the bald man go all out, he was completely relieved. Then, he snorted and attacked Zhao Shui with all his might. Zhao Shui's expression was cold, like a fairy, and she quickly fought with the gray-haired old man. On the other side, Lin Xian faced the terrifying palm shadow, and his eyes shone brightly. He stood in the void, his body emitting sword aura, shining brightly. Then, he waved the Lone Star sword and slashed out sword aura. Like a shocking rainbow, it was extremely dazzling and flew forward quickly. The terrifying sword aura and the dazzling palm print collided, and there was a loud boom. Light shone in all directions, and the entire sky was covered in a dazzling red glow. Dang, 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 dang. Terrifying sounds of collisions rang out, and each sound shattered a mountain below. However, in just a moment, the bald man let out another scream. His palm shadow was shattered once again, cut into hundreds of pieces by the sword chi. Then, like a meteor, it disappeared into the sky. Then, the sword chi shot out like a bolt of lightning and landed on his body. The bald man felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards. One of the sword chi was extremely sharp, directly hitting his right palm and tearing his armor apart. No! The bald man's pupils shrank as he screamed. He retreated frantically, but the sword chi was faster than him. With a flash of light, his entire right arm was cut off. What? This is impossible. When the few Sixth Heaven Venerables who had rushed over saw this scene, they immediately screamed in horror. They were in the same group as the bald man. It was just that their speed was slower, so they had only just arrived at the scene. They were here to provide support, but the scene just now had shocked them. That Baldy was their Lord Elder, a dignified 7th-level Venerable. His arm had been cut off, and the culprit was only a 5th Heaven Venerable's brat. They would never have dreamed of such a thing happening. Everyone's scalps went numb, and they turned to run. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, several immortal trapping swords flew out of his palm and immediately tied up the 6th Heaven Venerables. After doing that, he turned his head again and looked at the bald man. Misunderstanding. I think it's a misunderstanding. The bald man covered his wound with a ferocious expression, and cold sweat flowed down his forehead. However, when he looked at Lin Xian, his eyes were filled with horror. Chapter 1155. Although he was infuriated by the loss of an arm, he wanted nothing more than to kill the young man in front of him. However, the young man's combat strength was too shocking, which made him fearful. He was worried that if he continued to fight, it would not be as simple as losing an arm. He might very well lose his life here. Therefore, he decided to pretend to beg for mercy first, and then find someone to kill the young man. He had to take revenge for the loss of his arm and the treasure. Although Lin Xian could not read minds, he knew what the bald man was thinking when he saw the bald man's gaze. Immediately, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. I can feel your killing intent towards me, so I can't let you go. Kid, don't go too far. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the bald man was furious. It was already embarrassing for a 7th-level supremacy to beg for mercy from a 5th-level supremacy. However, the young man did not agree. This made him so angry that his entire body trembled. Kid, don't think that you can really kill me just because you cut off an arm. If you force me into a corner and I use some secret techniques, you won't be able to do anything to me. When the time comes, you might lose your life for nothing. I advise you to think carefully. The bald man gritted his teeth and said. In his heart, he wanted nothing more than to kill the young man immediately. However, he knew that it was impossible for him to do that in his current state. Therefore, he could only threaten the young man. However, Lin Xian ignored his threats. He held the Lone Star sword tightly and walked forward step by step. Lin Xian held the Lone Star sword and walked forward step by step. Sword chi flickered under his feet with every step he took. He was like a sword immortal, extremely fierce. "Kid, you're courting death!" Seeing Lin Xian approaching step by step, the bald man was completely enraged. His entire person became extremely ferocious. He did not expect the young man to ignore his threats and not accept his reconciliation. This made him extremely angry. "Kid, there are some things that need to be stopped. Since you're arrogant and ignorant, I'll kill you even if I have to exhaust my source energy. Soon you'll know how foolish your decision is." The bald man was infuriated. He decided to use some powerful secret techniques to deal with the kid in front of him. From the battle just now, he knew that although his opponent was a fifth heaven venerable realm expert, his battle prowess was even stronger than his own. So now, he didn't intend to continue fighting with him. Even though he had some secret techniques, once he used them, the consequences would be even more terrifying than losing an arm. Therefore, it was best not to use those secret techniques if possible. But now, the other party was closing in step by step, wanting to take his life. He had no choice but to risk his life. With a furious roar, the blood and chi in the bald man's body suddenly boiled and started to burn. Streaks of blood-red light rushed out of his body and circled around the surface of his body. It was as bright as a scarlet sunset. In the next moment, his aura changed. It became even more powerful, violent, and incomparably sharp. Not only that, but the bald man's eyes also became incomparably red, and his entire body became smaller than before. He could clearly feel that the bald man's strength had increased by a large margin compared to before. Whoosh! With a stomp of his foot, the bald man rushed out like a meteor and arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. A blood-red fist, carrying a biting cold killing intent, shook the void and quickly blasted towards Lin Xian. If anyone saw this, they would definitely scream in shock. This was because the current bald man was not just a little bit stronger than before. It seemed that the other party really did have a secret technique that could temporarily increase his battle prowess. Lin Xian frowned, and a bright sword light burst out from his eyes, instantly tearing the void in front of him apart. In the next moment, a dragon-shaped sword she slashed out. Its entire body was flickering with the light of thunder and fire, and it quickly pierced forward. The entire void flashed as if the sun had exploded. Boundless sword she quickly swept across the land, causing everything in the surroundings to tremble. In the next moment, Lin Xian withdrew his sword and retreated. However, the bald man stopped in midair. Then, his body split open from the middle, and blood splattered all over the ground. The bald man's eyes were filled with fear because he did not believe that the other party could kill him in a single move. Beside him, the gray-haired old man naturally saw this scene as well. His scalp went numb, and his eyes were filled with fear. Previously, when the bald man used the secret technique, he was relieved because he knew that the secret technique could definitely increase the bald man's cultivation by a large margin. He thought that it would not be a problem to deal with a young boy. However, he did not expect that the bald man who used the secret technique would be killed in a single move. This situation was like a bolt of lightning that struck him unconscious. Who exactly was this young man? Why was he so powerful? The gray-haired old man was terrified. No, he's definitely not a fifth heaven honorable realm. Yes, he must have hidden his cultivation. That must be it. The gray-haired old man's face was extremely ugly. In the next moment, he turned around and fled because he did not dare to stop. Otherwise, he would end up in a worse state than the bald man. Trying to leave? Zhao Shui snorted coldly, then raised her hand and formed a seal. Immediately, the virtual sky above emitted a ball of green light. Then, like a divine spear of destruction, it directly pierced through the gray-haired old man. The gray-haired old man's pupils gradually dilated, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect that the woman in white who was fighting with him would have such terrifying strength. She could actually kill him with a raise of her hand. If he was given a chance, he would definitely not target Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Plop! The gray-haired old man's corpse fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. After dealing with her opponent in a single move, Zhao Shui withdrew the virtual sky eye and turned to look at Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian also took the bald man's storage ring. His figure flashed, and he came to Zhao Shui's side. In the next moment, he waved his arm, and a 2-meter-long white jade spirit boat appeared in front of him. This spirit boat was pure white and emitted a faint light. On it, there were lines of mysterious inscriptions. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon also poked its head out and looked at the white jade spirit boat. It could not stop praising it. "Kid, this is good stuff. I did not expect that there would be such a person in the Tianwu continent who could comprehend inscriptions so thoroughly." "Oh, this is not an ancient treasure?" Lin Xian was surprised. He saw that the white jade spirit boat was extremely fast, and he thought that it should have been left behind by an ancient expert. He did not expect it to be made by a modern person. "It is not an ancient treasure. Because, looking at the inscriptions, it should have been completed in the past 100 years. It is obvious that it was made by a master blacksmith in this continent," the Crimson Dragon said. Lin Xian nodded, then his figure flashed and he entered the white jade spirit boat. Zhao Shui also smiled faintly and entered as well. She stood side by side with Lin Xian. "Give it a try." The spiritual energy in Lin Xian's body surged, and it quickly flowed out from his feet and poured into the white jade spirit boat. Suddenly, the white jade spirit boat emitted a dazzling light, turned into a shocking rainbow, and rushed out. Chapter 1156. In a quiet place, Lin Xian sat cross-legged and quickly organized the bald man's storage ring. He moved all the useful things into his white bone ring. Then, Lin Xian closed his eyes and probed the mysterious space in his body with his soul power. In the next moment, he saw the purple thunder divine bamboo growing in the space. In just one day, the lightning energy on the purple thunder divine bamboo was much stronger than before. "No way, this place is so magical?" Looking at the changes in the purple thunder divine bamboo, Lin Xian was shocked. The effect was beyond his imagination. Of course. Planting here for a day is equivalent to 10 years in the outside world." Zero's cold voice came from the 10,000 beast Ding. 10 years? Lin Xian was shocked. He knew that Zero wasn't lying because he had seen the purple thunder divine bamboo grow stronger with his own eyes. "Looks like I can get more spiritual herbs to plant here in the future." Lin Xian rubbed his chin and nodded. "Kid, you're thinking too much. It's because the purple thunder divine bamboo is special that it can withstand the energy in this space. If it were any other plant, it would definitely explode," Zero said coldly. Okay." Lin Xian scratched his head. He realized that sometimes, it wasn't a good thing to make the soil too strong. Lin Xian dismissed the idea of transplanting the spiritual herbs and looked at the purple thunder divine bamboo again. Since it could grow better here, Lin Xian didn't need to consume the complete purple thunder divine bamboo in advance. However, he wouldn't waste it. In the next moment, he plucked a few leaves from the purple thunder divine bamboo and left the mysterious space. Lin Xian left the mysterious space after plucking some purple thunder divine bamboo leaves. Then, he opened his eyes and a few flashing purple leaves appeared in his hand. The leaves were narrow and long, about the size of a finger. Each leaf was crystal clear and looked like a peerless treasure. There were streaks of purple lightning on them that kept shuttling back and forth. Lin Xian put the extra leaves into his storage ring, leaving only 2, which he held in each of his hands. Then, he slowly closed his eyes and began to absorb the pure power of lightning on the leaves. Bolts of lightning power were absorbed by him, and gradually, a ring of purple lightning surrounded Lin Xian's body, flashing continuously in the air. After a long while, Lin Xian opened his eyes and slowly exhaled as a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He could clearly feel that the lightning energy in his body was much stronger than before. There was no doubt that his strength had increased as well. He opened his hands and the 2 leaves in his hands had already lost their luster. When the wind blew, it turned into a pile of ashes and was blown away by the wind. After that, Lin Xian took out 2 more leaves and placed them in his hands, absorbing them quickly. Lin Xian repeated the process over and over again until all the leaves were absorbed. Only then did he open his eyes. At this moment, Lin Xian was surrounded by purple lightning. He looked like a thunder god that could control all the lightning in the world. In the next moment, he raised his hand and moved his fingers. Countless purple lightning gathered and quickly formed a purple lightning dragon. Then, he waved his hand and the purple lightning dragon roared into the sky. Endless lightning fell in all directions. His fingers moved again and purple lightning flashed. The lightning dragon turned into a lightning sword and released an endless amount of violent energy. Then, under Lin Xian's control, the lightning sword turned into various strange beasts and weapons. The purple thunder divine bamboo lives up to its name. I only absorbed a few leaves and my lightning energy has become so powerful. If I absorb the entire purple thunder divine bamboo, not only will my cultivation level increase, I will definitely be able to form a thunder martial soul. Lin Xian was amazed. However, he would not consume the entire purple thunder divine bamboo now. As long as the purple thunder divine bamboo was in the mysterious space in his body, it would grow quickly. Even if he only absorbed the leaves, it would not take long for him to successfully form a thunder martial soul. Not far away from Lin Xian, Zhao Shui also opened her eyes. Following which, a terrifying aura emanated from her body. Even Lin Xian was moved by the aura. Needless to say, Zhao Shui must have successfully absorbed the energy in the Dragon Ball and her cultivation level increased again. Lin Xian even noticed that Zhao Shui's eyes contained a faint golden light. Presumably, some key changes had occurred to her eye technique. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Zhao Shui turned her head and smiled. Thank you for your dark lightning wood. It allowed me to absorb the energy in the Dragon Ball faster. Indeed, there was a strong evil energy in the Dragon Ball. Ordinary warriors only dared to absorb a little before they had to refine the evil energy with all their might. However, Zhao Shui was different now. She had the jade bodhi and the dark lightning wood that was thousands of years old. The combination of the two could suppress the evil energy very well. Therefore, Zhao Shui's speed of absorbing the Dragon Ball had greatly increased. However, after chatting for a while, Zhao Shui frowned. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Lin Xian asked. My eye technique had a breakthrough and my perception of the surroundings has become clearer. I feel that there seems to be an aura in the distance that makes me very uneasy. Zhao Shui frowned. She had never encountered such a situation before. An aura that makes you uneasy? Hearing this, Lin Xian was surprised. He knew Zhao Shui's strength. She was not weaker than him. Moreover, ordinary 7th-level supremacies were no match for her. Therefore, an aura that could make her feel fear was definitely not ordinary. Could it be the heavenly netherbird? Lin Xian thought about it. Perhaps only the ancient demon beast, the heavenly netherbird, could make Zhao Shui feel fear. It's not the aura of the heavenly netherbird. Zhao Shui shook her head. They had felt the aura of the heavenly netherbird before, so Zhao Shui could distinguish it clearly. Then what aura is it? Lin Xian rubbed his chin. Could there be other terrifying existences in the secret territory? Why don't we go and take a look? Lin Xian was very curious. Moreover, he found that the direction was very similar to the direction where they were chasing the heavenly netherbird. It was only a slight deviation, so it should not cause any delay. Hearing this, Zhao Shui nodded. She was very uneasy. However, she still wanted to see what was going on because she would not allow anything that made her feel uneasy to exist. The two of them discussed for a while, then moved and ran in that direction. Originally, they were supposed to follow the heavenly netherbird to the north. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were now running in the northwest direction. In front of them, it gradually became desolate. There was even a trace of gloomy aura lingering. The further they went in the northwest direction, the stronger the aura became. Moreover, the surrounding scenery became extremely different. It was no longer a vast forest. Instead, it was a withered land. In the end, the gloomy aura made Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's scalps go numb. In front of them, there were withered trees. There were no leaves, and the branches were all gray. It was as if the trees had died a long time ago. Not only that, but the branches were also baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as if they were demons. Chapter 1157. On the branches there were a few crows cawing. The cawing was like that of a malicious spirit. It was a graveyard. Looking at the scene in front of him, Lin Xian frowned. This was because he saw many small hills. Some had stone tablets, while others had nothing at all. However, there were no words on those stone tablets. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not know whose grave this was. However, from the aura around them, the person buried here should not be simple. Since they were already here, they had to take a look. Therefore, after taking a deep breath, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui carefully walked forward. The two of them released their soul power and carefully observed their surroundings. As long as there was danger, they would immediately take action. Crack! Crack! Countless bones were buried on the yellow ground. When Lin Xian stepped on them, they immediately turned into powder. However, the cracking sound was very clear and spread in all directions. Suddenly, a few crows on the withered trees were frightened and quickly flew away. In the next moment, a cold wind blew and a cold aura surged out quickly. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui tensed up and prepared to take action. However, after observing for a while, they did not find any danger. Therefore, they hid their spiritual power in their bodies again and carefully walked forward. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui stepped into the ancient cemetery garden, countless martial artists quickly flew towards this graveyard. 13th Young Master, it's right ahead. According to our investigation, this should be a treasure trove. A group of people came from afar. They were wearing the Shen family's uniform. It was obvious that these people were martial artists from the Shen family. Moreover, their auras were powerful. It was obvious that they were an elite team. The leader was a very handsome young man. He wore a golden threaded lightning robe and was surrounded by lightning. Moreover, this young man's aura was very powerful. He had reached the seventh heaven of the supremacy realm. The person who spoke next to him was a middle-aged man. He was burly and had a stable aura. He carried a huge saber on his back and his body emitted a sharp saber light. Both of them were 7th level venerated realm cultivators, especially the young man in the golden threaded lightning robe. His status was extraordinary, and within the Shen family, he was known as the 13th Young Master. In the Sky Martial Continent, there were 4 great young experts, and they were known as the 4 Young Masters of the Sky Martial Continent. As for the younger generation of these large clans, they followed suit and set the 4 great young masters as their life goals. Therefore, there were many powerful youths who also called themselves young masters. They felt that it was a kind of honor. For example, the young man in front of him was Shen Yu, who was ranked 13th in the younger generation of the Shen family. The middle-aged man with a huge saber on his back next to him was also an elder of the Shen family, Elder Qin Yun. At this moment, the members of the Shen family stood outside the huge mausoleum, gazing ahead with sparkling eyes. I didn't expect that this treasure trove would be a graveyard. Interesting, interesting. Shen Yu clasped his hands behind his back and looked ahead with a slight smile. At the side, Elder Qin Yun said in a deep voice, "No one should have come to this place yet. It's a newly discovered treasure ground. But judging from the aura, this should be the mausoleum of a king. Also, I can feel a faint aura. I'm afraid there's someone powerful inside. Young Master, I think we should be careful." "No worries," Shen Yu said arrogantly. "I'm cultivating the Great Sun Thunder technique. It's an Earth-class martial art that's full of yang energy. It's the best way to deal with these evil things. It's not a strong ghost or zombie. They can't even withstand a single blow from me. Of course. No one at your age can cultivate the great sun thunder technique to the initial stage, Elder Qingyun said with a smile. 13th young master, let's go. Xinyu nodded and stepped into the ancient mausoleum. As the members of the Shen family entered, the yin qi in the surroundings became thicker. It was as if the yin qi was howling. There were even ghostly shadows that attacked them quickly. Humph! Yin ghosts and evil things. You shouldn't even exist in this world! The 13th young master snorted. Lightning flashed around his body and a ball formed behind him. It was like a sun that emitted endless light. Great sun thunder technique! Endless power of lightning emanated from the ball of lightning and quickly spread in all directions, forming a world of lightning and thunder. The surrounding ghostly shadows were pierced by the lightning and emitted a burnt smell. Countless screams could be heard. In an instant, the ghostly shadows disappeared without a trace. The scene when this group of people entered was completely different from when Lin Xian and Zhao Lin Xian had entered. There were no ghostly shadows. The reason for this change was that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had entered the ancient mausoleum. They even had to break some of the restrictions to release the ghostly shadows in the ancient mausoleum. At this moment, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had already entered the ancient mausoleum and were walking with difficulty. This place was too scary. There were restrictions everywhere. Luckily, they had the Crimson Dragon beside them, which made them much safer. Even so, many ghostly shadows were released. There was even an army of skeletons that charged towards them. These skeletons were in the shape of humans and beasts. There were all kinds of strange skeletons. Each of them had pale white flames burning on their bodies and jade-green flames dancing in their eye sockets. They were incomparably deep and emitted a cold ghostly aura. Countless skeletons charged towards them. Lin Xian snorted and pushed his palm forward. A purple ball of lightning appeared in his palm and quickly rolled forward. The ball of lightning grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it was like a huge rock as it flew into the army of skeletons. Countless lightning flashed around the purple ball of lightning and continuously bombarded the skeletons. Although there were many skeletons, they were weak. Most of them were only at the 4th or 5th heaven of the Venerable Realm. Moreover, they were evil creatures and were most afraid of the power of Yang like lightning. Therefore, when they encountered Lin Xian's purple lightning, their strength was weakened by another 30%. As a result, the ghostly shadows were defeated by Lin Xian's lightning. Therefore, it did not take long for the ghostly shadows to turn into white bones and scatter on the ground. Let's go. Let's continue forward. Lin Xian took the lead and walked forward. Behind him, the Crimson Dragon and Zhao Shui quickly followed. They had just taken a few steps when they heard a clattering sound behind them. The sound was very scary. It was as if bones were rubbing against each other. The three of them felt their scalps go numb as they turned their heads to look. Behind him, the white bones that had been scattered were rapidly gathering back together. The bones that were scattered on the ground were rapidly gathering to form a new behemoth. Not only that, the green flames in the skeleton's eye sockets also gathered together to form 2 fist-sized ghost flames. A huge aura surged out from the newly formed ghost and swept in all directions. Chapter 1158. This aura was too violent. It had the strength of a 7th-level honorable. These monsters are really difficult to deal with, the Crimson Dragon muttered. There were hundreds of ghosts before, and now they had gathered to form a huge monster. The huge monster looked like a human-shaped skeleton, but it was much bigger than before. There was a pair of white bone wings on its back, and a huge bone tail on its body. There were 4 arms on both sides of its abdomen. They were constantly waving, making cracking sounds. They easily tore through the void. This newly formed skeleton monster stared at Lin Xian and the others, then let out a low roar. It was like a peerless demon king that had awakened from hell. The huge skeleton monster stared at Lin Xian. The terrifying ghost aura spread out in all directions, filling the entire space. Zhao Shui, go ahead with the Crimson Dragon and break the array below. Leave this to me, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Okay. Zhao Shui nodded. Then, she and the Crimson Dragon walked deeper into the tomb. Seeing that someone wanted to leave, the skeleton monster roared angrily. The huge white bone wings on its back flapped, creating a chilly wind that blew forward. Suddenly, the void trembled, and the chilly wind whistled. It was like dark clouds and ghosts were crying as it surged forward. Fortunately, this ancient tomb was very sturdy. The energy alone was enough to destroy this place dozens of times. There must be some kind of array here that could prevent the entire tomb from being destroyed. Lin Xian knew this too. It was unlikely that anyone below the challenger level would be able to destroy this tomb. Therefore, he had no qualms about attacking. In his palm, countless purple lightnings surged and quickly turned into 4 purple long swords. The 4 purple long swords were surrounded by lightning as they spun around Lin Xian. Then, Lin Xian waved his arm, and the 4 long swords flew out like rainbows. Dang, dang, dang! In the next moment, the 4 purple lightning swords flew out in all directions and stabbed into the ground. That position just happened to surround the skeleton monster. Following that, Lin Xian unleashed waves of lightning energy that surged forward. Suddenly, the 4 purple lightning swords in front of him shone brightly. Their bodies trembled and formed bolts of lightning. They quickly intertwined and formed a lightning sword shadow. Being bombarded by the countless lightning swords, the skeleton monster roared furiously, its voice shaking the mountains and rivers. A white flame rose from its body. It was extremely cold, causing the entire void to tremble. The white flames expanded, forming a protective light that quickly resisted the lightning swords in the surroundings. The two forces collided, and the entire underground tomb rumbled. He didn't know what this underground tomb was made of, or if there was an extremely powerful ancient formation. Even in the midst of this destructive energy, the surrounding buildings were not damaged. The skeletal monster's 4 arms kept waving, grabbing at the 4 purple lightning swords, as if it wanted to destroy them. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the lightning energy in his body condensed again, forming a purple lightning hammer that smashed forward. Bang! With an earth-shattering attack, endless lightning descended, and immediately smashed the skeleton monster back. With a successful attack, Lin Xian roared and waved the purple lightning hammer again. Bang bang! This lightning hammer was formed by purple lightning, and contained an extremely strong yang energy. Moreover, it was activated by Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul. It could be said that its attack power was extremely strong. Therefore, after one strike, the skeleton's bones loosened, as if they would fall apart at any time. Kid, you can't fight like this. Even if you break it apart, it won't take long for it to reform again. At this moment, Zero's voice sounded in Lin Xian's mind. Do you see the green flames in its eye sockets? That's their source of energy. Only by destroying the flames can these ghosts be considered to be truly dead. I see. Lin Xian's eyes flashed as he stared at the green flames. With a clang, he took out the solitary shadow sword from behind him and quickly stabbed forward. 2 streaks of sword chi flew out, as if they were immortal swords from another world. Their speed was extremely fast. Chi. With a flash of sword chi, the green flames in the skeleton monster's eye sockets were slashed by the sword chi. Then, the great dragon sword soul's aura in the sword chi erupted and quickly extinguished the 2 green flames. Roar! The skeleton monster let out an angry roar, and its body was covered in white flames. However, no matter how strong it was, it could not resist the aura of the great dragon sword soul. A moment later, the 2 fist-sized green flames disappeared without a trace. The enormous white skeletal body also crashed to the ground with a loud bang. Countless white bones scattered all over the ground. Without the support of its source of energy, these skeletons were nothing but a pile of trash. So that's how it is. The green flames seem to contain a trace of soul energy. It should be the source of the skeleton monster's power. With Zero's reminder, Lin Xian's killing power against the skeleton monster greatly increased. After dealing with the skeleton monster, Lin Xian walked into the depths of the ancient tomb. Just as he was working hard to break the seal in the ancient tomb, the outside world was bustling with noise and excitement. The 13th prince cultivated the great sun lightning art, and his lightning aura was extremely violent. He easily suppressed the ghosts around him. Just as they were feeling proud and wanted to continue moving forward, the void behind them fluctuated, and another group of powerful auras quickly approached. Eh? There are more people coming! The 13th prince frowned and looked behind him with a sharp gaze. Beside him, Elder Qin Yun was also on guard. Countless streaks of sword chi lit up behind them, and like a meteor shower, they flew over from afar. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After a burst of dazzling sword chi, dozens of figures landed on the ground. These people were of different heights and had different faces. However, there were no exceptions. They were all emitting a biting cold sword chi. They could feel the other party's aura. The martial artists from the Shen family were also shocked. Although they were disciples of the House of Kings and had never taken anyone seriously, they had to be careful when facing this group of people. The 13th prince and Elder Qin Yun's eyes darkened. There was only one clan in the entire Tianwu continent that could emit such a sharp sword chi, and that was the deity Sword Villa. He did not expect these people to come as well. The 13th prince snorted in his heart, but then a smile appeared on his handsome face. I did not expect to meet friends from the deity Sword Villa in such a desolate place. What a coincidence. 13th prince, you are too polite. We were passing by and felt that the aura here was not ordinary, so we came to check it out. We did not expect to meet the 13th prince of the Shen family. An elder laughed. The 13th prince squinted his eyes, and then quickly sized up the group in front of him. Although the deity Sword Villa was not the House of Kings, their strength was not to be underestimated. According to the information he had received, there was an extremely powerful senior among the people from the deity Sword Villa who came. Facing that person, even the House of Kings had to be wary. Chapter 1159. At this moment, the 13th young master was extremely nervous as he quickly glanced at the people in front of him. When he saw a tall young man with a huge red sword on his back, his eyes instantly narrowed. Oh, I didn't expect the junior sword exalt, Lu Tianyi, to be here as well. I wonder if the senior sword exalt is here? The sword exalt was an extremely terrifying senior figure in the deity Sword Villa, and he was the person that the 13th young master feared. It was said that he was extremely formidable. He was once a peerless expert of that era, and he was even one of the exalts who had the chance to become a king. Moreover, as a swordsman, his combat strength was extremely powerful. Even if he didn't step into the king realm in the end, his fierce attacks still caused others to fear him. However, his life was limited if he didn't enter the king realm. It was said that the sword exalt's vital energy and blood had dried up over the years, and he didn't have many years left to live. It was said that not only had his vital energy and blood dried up, but his combat strength had decreased as well. Even his cultivation seemed to have dropped. The sword exalt was carrying hope in the opening of the hidden sky secret realm this time, and he was going to make a final gamble. Even though the sword exalt didn't have much time left, and his combat strength wasn't as strong as before, it was still not something that these people could resist. The sword exalt is nearby. He might be here soon, an elder from the deity Sword Villa said. Nearby? The 13th young master revealed a trace of a smile when he heard that. He wouldn't believe such words, and he assumed that the sword exalt wasn't with these people. Since that was the case, then he was at ease. Elder Qin Yun smiled and said, Oh, is that so? Then I'll have to greet Senior Sword Exalt when he comes. The deity Sword Villa could naturally hear the provocation in his words, and the elder's face instantly sank. He took a step forward and said coldly, What? Could it be that you're doubting my words? As he spoke, a strand of flames rose from his body, and it quickly condensed into a flaming sword before him. A terrifying aura quickly spread out. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Elder Qin Yun sneered as a ray of light rose from his body, and it formed the image of a long saber. The saber and the sword clashed, and invisible waves of air clashed, causing the entire space to crackle. The cultivators of the two forces were also extremely nervous. Elder Lihua, now is not the time to make a move. This graveyard is filled with ghost chi. I think there should be a terrifying existence here. We should conserve our strength to explore the graveyard. At this moment, the young man with the red giant sword on his back and deity sword Villa said coldly. Hearing this, Elder Lihua nodded and retracted his aura. All the flames in the sky surged into his body. For a moment, the blazing aura disappeared, and a chilly wind blew in the surroundings again. On the other side, Elder Qin Yun also snorted coldly and retracted his dazzling saber light. The 13th young master smiled. His eyes sparkled as he looked at the young man with the red great sword. Could this be the sword Dao genius known as the Junior Sword Sovereign, Xiao Fan, Brother Xiao? Rumor has it that Brother Zhao's strength is extraordinary, especially your attainments in the way of the sword. You are almost on par with Senior Honorable Sword. Now that I've met you, you are indeed extraordinary. 13th young master, you are too polite. Honorable Sword Senior's skills are extremely high, and I am far from being able to compare to him. The two of them spoke politely, but their gazes were full of spiritual energy. There were even sparks colliding in the void. An invisible pressure quickly spread in the air. Instantly, the surrounding disciples felt their bodies tremble, and their blood flow was not smooth. Then, they sucked in a breath of cold air and looked in front of them in shock. These two young men were the same age as them. However, when the two of them looked at each other, such a terrifying aura was released. It was too shocking. They were indeed peerless geniuses. They were indeed terrifying. Xiao Fan and the 13th young master were also shocked. They did not expect their opponents to be so powerful. For a moment, the two of them did not have the confidence to win. In the end, the 13th young master retracted his gaze and said coldly, Brother Xiao, you are indeed worthy of your reputation. Why don't you and I explore this Lingyuan ancient tomb together? I can't ask for more, Xiao Fan said firmly. Then, he led the disciples of the deity sword Villa into the ancient tomb in the cemetery. Young master, are we really going to let them in so easily? At the side, Elder Qin Yun's voice was filled with unwillingness. He was not willing to give up the treasures in the tomb to other forces. Now is not the time to fight. The other party has more people than us. Moreover, I have tested them. Xiao Fan is very powerful. I don't have the confidence to win. Therefore, we should not fight if we can. After all, we have not even seen the treasures yet. It is not a wise choice to fight and exhaust our strength. It is not too late to fight when we find the treasures, the 13th young master said coldly. At that time, I will let them know how powerful the Shen family is. Young master is wise. Elder Qin Yun nodded. He also knew that it was not a good time to fight with the other party. However, just as the Shen family turned around and entered the tomb, the sound of something flying could be heard from behind them. A red gourd was flying rapidly in the air like a huge mountain. Wherever it passed, the wind would blow and the space-time would tremble. The direction that the gourd was flying in was also the direction of the tomb. Are there more people coming? The 13th young master and the Shen family's faces darkened. They did not expect that the tomb would attract so many martial artists. This was not good news for them. Let's see who they are. If they are trash, we can just kill them, the 13th young master said coldly. Even the martial artists from the deity sword villa noticed the abnormality behind them. They turned around and looked. In fact, the Eden death ghost in this ancient tomb was too terrifying. It could be sensed from afar. Therefore, many martial artists from various forces had come to this ancient tomb, and they were all hiding in the dark. They did not dare to go against the super forces like the Shen family and the deity sword villa. Therefore, they only followed behind and did not dare to show themselves. However, it was different now. There was actually someone who dared to come directly to the mausoleum in the cemetery, which made everyone in the surroundings feel shocked. At the same time, they were guessing which force they were from. Buzz! The red gourd stopped above the tomb. Then 2 figures flew down from the red gourd. They were 2 young men. One of them was tall like a demon. He carried a black ancient sword on his back and looked extremely fierce. His fierce aura was similar to the people from the deity sword villa. However, it was not exactly the same. Obviously, he was also a swordsman. The other person was calm like a banished immortal. He flipped his palm and the red gourd above him quickly became smaller. Then, it kept spinning in his hand. The 2 of them had different temperaments. However, their auras were equally powerful. It's them!" someone exclaimed. He seemed to recognize the 2 of them. "Who are they? Tell us," someone asked impatiently. Chapter 1160. "Who are they? Hurry up and tell us," someone asked impatiently. "They are disciples of Senmu College, and they are not ordinary disciples. They are Dugu Aotian and the Yunfei, who are ranked 1st and 2nd on the Mystic Venerable leaderboard. I didn't expect the 2 of them to team up in the Tianyo's secret mirror. Oh, so they are genius disciples of Senmu College. No wonder they dared to show up in front of the Shin family and deity sword villa. With their status and strength, they are not weaker than the disciples of the House of Kings." Many people whispered. Even the Shin family and deity sword villa could not help but narrow their eyes. Senmu College was also very powerful. It was even more powerful than deity sword villa and was at the same level as the Shin family. They were both from the House of Kings. However, according to their information, Senmu College did not seem to have sent anyone particularly powerful this time. There were only a few ordinary elders and some disciples. I was wondering who it was. So it is the 2 disciples of Senmu College. Although you are quite powerful, the 2 of you are not qualified to enter the ancient tomb with us. The 13th young master looked arrogant because he could clearly sense that the 2 in front of him were not 7th level venerables. Their auras seemed to be only 6th level venerables. Although they were from Senmu College, the 13th young master did not take them seriously. After all, they were not elders and were not as powerful as them. Therefore, the 13th young master did not plan to let them in. He let the people from Deity Sword Villa in because they were about as powerful as them. The 13th young master was not confident of winning, so he had no choice but to let the people from Deity Sword Villa have a share of the loot. However, it was different now. There were only 2 of them, and they were not as powerful as them. Therefore, no matter what, they would not let them enter the ancient tomb. The 2 of you, I advise the 2 of you to obediently scram. Otherwise, when I take action, you will suffer a little. Elder Qing Yun snorted. Is that so? This ancient tomb does not seem to belong to the Shin family. Dugu Aotian's expression was cold. Don't talk nonsense with them. Get rid of them quickly. The 13th prince waved his hand impatiently. There's no need for the young master or the elder to deal with these 2 brats. Let me do it. A middle-aged man stepped forward. I've always wanted to compete with the people from Senmu College. Now is the perfect opportunity. Another young man walked out. Both of them were at the 6th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm, the same realm as Dugu Aotian and the Yunfei. Therefore, it was most suitable for them to do it. The 2 of them laughed sinisterly and quickly pounced towards Dugu Aotian and the Yunfei. Amongst them, the middle-aged man faced Dugu Aotian, and the young man faced Li Yunfei. The 2 of them attacked fiercely and mercilessly, displaying extremely powerful combat strength. However, after a series of soul-stirring sounds, the 2 figures flew back. What? How is this possible? The surrounding people were all dumbfounded because the ones who flew back were none other than the 2 warriors from the Shin family. Dugu Aotian and the Yunfei stood with their hands behind their backs, and their expressions were extremely calm. Obviously, they didn't care about the battle just now. At this moment, everyone's expressions were strange, and their hearts were filled with shock. One move, just one move, and the 2 of them had defeated opponents of the same level. This kind of method was too terrifying. As expected of the strongest disciple of Senmu College. They were indeed powerful. The surrounding people exclaimed, while the people from Deity Sword Villa were surprised. Most of them stared at De Gautian. This kid's sword technique is a little strange. An old man from Deity Sword Villa's eyes flickered. Indeed, I've never seen this sword technique before. It shouldn't be the martial arts of Senmu College. It seems that he has had a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Fan also nodded slightly. Unfortunately, his cultivation was a little weak. Xiao Fan added another sentence, and stopped paying attention to it. Indeed, Xiao Fan's cultivation had reached the 7th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm. No matter how exquisite the other party's sword technique was, it was useless in the face of absolute power. The people from Deity Sword Villa were discussing animatedly, while the Shin family's faces were gloomy. This was a slap to their faces, and it was a slap in the face. They are from the House of Kings, and they are the kings of the same level. However, the other party had defeated their people with just one move. This was too mocking. Kid, I have to say that the two of you have indeed exceeded my expectations, Elder Qin Yun said coldly. However, I'm afraid you're not qualified to interfere with the ancient tombs in the cemetery. What other moves do you have? Use them all, but I advise you to find someone powerful. Don't be like just now. After cultivating for 100 or 200 years, you're still a 6th heavenly layer venerable. Such a piece of trash is not worthy of me fighting. Dugu Aotian's figure was tall and straight, and his voice was cold. He did not even draw his sword when facing the middle-aged man of the same level as him. You! The middle-aged man who had fought with him earlier was so angry that he vomited blood. Indeed, although he looked like a middle-aged man, his actual age was more than 200 years old. Being a 6th heavenly layer venerable at this age was not very good, but it was not too bad either. However, at this moment, Dugu Aotian had called him a piece of trash. This made him so angry that he vomited blood. At this moment, Li Yunfei said calmly with his hands behind his back. Of course, don't send people who use pills to increase their cultivation. Those people can't even completely integrate their spiritual power. Pfft. When the young man from the Shin family heard this, he was so angry that he vomited blood. He had indeed used pills. He had forcefully raised his cultivation to the 6th heavenly layer venerable. However, this secret was only known to a few people. Now that it had been mercilessly exposed, he was too ashamed to face it. Hearing the other party's arrogant words, the 13th prince's gaze turned cold. Elder Qin Yun, who was beside him, shouted coldly. Two arrogant brats, the Shin family is not someone you can provoke at will. Today, I'll teach the two of you a lesson on behalf of Senmu College. After saying that, his figure flashed, and he quickly rushed forward. What? He's going to do it himself? Seeing this scene, the warriors who were hiding in the dark suddenly felt their eyelids twitch wildly. Even the people from the Deity Sword Villa were surprised. Who was Elder Qin Yun? He was an elder of the Shin family and a 7th heavenly layer venerable. For such a person to deal with 2 juniors, and 2 6th heavenly layer venerables at that. This was clearly bullying. It seemed that the defeat of the Shin family had indeed made the other party a little anxious. Elder Qin Yun raised his hand, and the spiritual power in his body quickly condensed above him, forming a mountain that pressed forward fiercely. This mountain shone brightly and emitted a vast aura, immediately causing the sky to collapse. Although this mountain was not a real mountain, it was condensed by Elder Qin Yun's spiritual power. Its power was even more terrifying than a real mountain. This was because this was the power of a 7th heavenly layer venerable. Chapter 1161. Dugu Aotian and the Yunfei did not expect the other party to attack without caring about their identities. Their expressions were solemn. Then, they looked at each other and attacked at the same time to resist the other party's 3 spirit power peaks. With a clang, Dugu Aotian pulled out his black long sword and slashed out. The sword chi was vast and mighty, and the shocking sword light illuminated the entire sky. On the other side, Li Yunfei also quickly waved his palm, and agile palm shadows appeared in the air. The two of them worked together to fight the spirit mountain in the sky. Bang! In the sky, the huge spirit mountain was split open and then hit by countless palm shadows. However, this terrifying energy exploded and forced Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei back. The two of them retreated more than 10 steps before they could stabilize their bodies. Was this the power of a 7th-level enforcer? It was indeed powerful. Dugu Aotian's arm was trembling slightly. The recoil just now was too terrifying. If it were not for his abnormal talent, it would have been difficult for him to withstand it. Even so, that attack had numbed his entire arm. Li Yunfei's situation was the same. His expression was extremely solemn. The other party's strength was beyond his imagination. What? They actually blocked it. Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. That was the attack of a 7th-level venerable. Not to mention 2 6th-level venerables, even 10 6th-level venerables might not be able to block it. Now, the other party had blocked the attack of a 7th-level venerable with only 2 people. This was too shocking. Elder Qing Yun was also very surprised. He originally wanted to teach the other party a lesson and let them know that the Shen family was not to be trifled with. However, he did not dare to really kill the 2 of them. After all, they were the top disciples of Senmu College. Senmu College was not weaker than the Shen family, so he only used about 30% of his strength in this palm. This kind of strength could injure them without taking their lives. It could be said that this was completely within his calculations. However, he did not expect the other party to actually block his attack. He knew that it was just a casual attack, but the difference between a 6th-level venerable and a 7th-level venerable was like heaven and earth. In the eyes of outsiders, didn't this mean that he could not defeat the 2 brats? He couldn't stand it. In the next moment, his expression became extremely gloomy. Brat, since the 2 of you are so stubborn, don't blame me. As soon as he finished speaking, his aura skyrocketed once again. That terrifying aura made everyone around him feel despair. In an instant, the powerful aura of the green-robed elder exploded. A vast amount of energy gushed out from his body and filled the entire space. This aura made all the surrounding martial artists tremble with fear. After that, Elder Qin Yun's hand glowed brightly as he slammed it forward. It can't be! Could it be that he wants to kill the 2 students from the Immortal Martial Academy? When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, they all shuddered with fear. If Senmu College's most outstanding student died here, they would definitely go crazy. No one could predict what would happen then. Pun! After the terrifying energy gushed out from the palm, a bright light shone in all directions, filling the entire space. The entire void trembled. One could only imagine how terrifying that palm was. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were also shocked. They did not expect that the other party would actually dare to kill them. The 2 of them roared and quickly raised their strength to the limit. Then, they retreated into the distance. This palm was too terrifying. The terrifying energy was like a huge wave. Although it was not close, just the wind from the palm made their blood boil. This was a furious attack from a 7th-level venerable. The 2 of them could not withstand it at all. Not only that, the palm quickly enveloped the 2 of them and was about to slam down. It's over. Those 2 brats are dead. The surrounding martial artists sighed because they knew that Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei could not escape from this palm. If they were hit, not even their bones would be left. At this critical moment, a cold snort suddenly came from the void. It was like countless claps of thunder, instantly causing the void to explode. Then, a huge fist came swinging down from the sky. The fist was completely black, like a black mountain. Incomparable energy pierced through heaven and earth. On the fist, there were countless black flames dancing. When the fist was swung out, heaven and earth trembled. The air churned like waves crashing into the 9 heavens. This fist landed heavily on Elder Qin Yun's huge palm. Suddenly, the huge palm trembled violently, stirring up the entire space. The wind was howling. An extremely terrifying energy exploded and swept in all directions. Immediately, the martial artists hiding in the dark screamed and fled quickly. This energy was too terrifying. Even the aftermath was not something they could block. After an earth-shattering explosion, Elder Qin Yun's huge palm was quickly sent flying. Moreover, Elder Qin Yun's face darkened and he took a step back. What? The Shin family disciples and the martial artists of Deity Sword Villa were shocked. They did not expect the powerful Elder Qin Yun to be forced back. Although he only took a step back, it also showed that the strength of the person who came was absolutely terrifying. When the 13th young master saw this, his face also darkened. Elder Qin Yun's face was even more ferocious. His gaze was like lightning, piercing through the front. Who dares to interfere with the matters of my Shin family? Get out here! This voice was very terrifying, as if tens of thousands of demonic beasts were roaring. Old man, how dare you bully my Senma College disciples? Do you believe that I will break your bones? In the sky, an angry voice was heard. Then, a figure quickly descended from the sky. Boom! This person landed on the ground like a huge mountain. The entire ground trembled and countless cracks spread in all directions. How terrifying! Who is this guy? He has such a terrifying aura just by landing? 7th level Honorable Realm. This is a 7th level Honorable Realm. Could it be someone from Senma College? Everyone was discussing and were very curious. They all looked in front of them. The figure was very tall, even taller than Dugu Aotian. He was wearing a black armor that was flickering with light. He looked like a divine demon. His sharp face was filled with coldness. His gaze was like divine lightning as he stared fiercely in front of him. His voice was even colder. The Shin family is really shameless. An old man dares to bully our disciples? If you want to fight, I will accompany you. There was a tinge of anger in this voice. Looking at this figure, the surrounding people were shocked. The 13th young master and Xiao Fan from Deity Sword Villa squinted their eyes and looked at the figure in front of them. This was because they could sense that the person who came was very powerful. He was not much weaker than them. On the other hand, Elder Qin Yun's face was ashen. He clenched his fists tightly and trembled with anger. However, he did not immediately make a move because the previous exchange of blows had let him know that the person in front of him was definitely not weaker than him. Senior brother Meng, you're here. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were overjoyed. Senior brother, Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei actually called him senior brother? Could he be? Chapter 1162. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei were the top disciples in Senmu College who were ranked first and second on the mysterious honorable leaderboard. Therefore, anyone who could be addressed as senior brothers by them must be extraordinary. Moreover, they knew that none of the disciples in the college could be addressed as senior brothers by them. In other words, this person was not a disciple of Senmu College, but a disciple from the previous batch. I heard that all the disciples who graduated from Senmu College, except for those who left the college, have entered the punishment hall. Brother, you must be from the punishment hall, right? Xiao Fan asked. That's right. I'm a member of the punishment hall, Meng Tian. 13th Prince was shocked to hear that. You're Meng Tian, who was ranked third on the previous mysterious honorable leaderboard. Everyone was shocked to hear that as well. No wonder this person was so powerful. He was the genius disciple who was ranked third on the previous mysterious honorable leaderboard. So it's Brother Meng. Since that's the case, you're qualified to enter the tomb, 13th Prince said slowly. Meng Tian nodded and led Dugu Aotian and Li Yunfei towards the tomb. However, in the next moment, the ground suddenly trembled, and an extremely cold aura came from underground. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Elder Qin Yun and the rest were shocked. Oh no, there's someone down there! Did someone go in before us? Elder Lihua's face darkened. That should be the case. It seems to be a violent tremor caused by the seal being broken. Meng Tian's eyes flickered. Damn it! Let's go! 13th Prince gritted his teeth and said. His face was pale. He had wanted to search the tomb thoroughly, but he did not expect someone to go in before them. This made him anxious. If the other party was an expert, they would not be able to find anything if they were late. Therefore, 13th Prince watching dashed forward like a bolt of lightning. Behind him, the disciples of the Shen family also dashed out. "Let's go too," Xiao Fan, who was carrying a red giant sword, said quickly and then moved. Meng Tian and the other two followed closely behind. The group of people quickly entered the ancient tomb in the cemetery. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui did not know what had happened in the tomb. Along with the Crimson Dragon, they broke the seals and obtained many good things. Just a moment ago, they had broken through the last powerful seal and entered the deepest part of the tomb. It was this seal that had caused the violent tremors earlier. At this moment, they stood there. They did not rashly enter because there was a bone-chilling aura in front of them. That aura was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian wasn't completely confident. Therefore, the three of them did not enter for a while. Instead, they stayed outside to investigate carefully. In front of him was a secret chamber. It was spacious enough, but there weren't many things inside. There were only 3 coffins placed in a triangular formation. There was a clear lamp on top of each coffin, flickering with eerie will-o'-the-wisp. There was no movement in the room. Only the 3 ghost lanterns were flickering. Who were the people buried in these 3 coffins? And where did this terrifying aura come from? Lin Xian frowned. At the side, the Crimson Dragon looked solemn. "Kid, luckily we didn't barge in recklessly. **, this guy is too sinister. He actually had a trap." "Trap? What trap?" Zhao Shui frowned and asked. "Do you see the ground inside? That's the last trap." Hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui looked forward. The ground in front of them was cyan in color. It was paved with square cyan slabs. It was neat and tidy, not a single bit out of place. The Crimson Dragon explained that this should be an extremely ancient formation. You wouldn't be able to see anything from the outside. However, once you stepped on the green slabs, the formation would be activated. If you took a wrong step, endless danger would await you. The Crimson Dragon rubbed his chin and looked around. "Let me study it. How do we break this formation?" Just as the Crimson Dragon was studying the formation, a group of martial artists suddenly rushed in from the entrance of the ancient tomb. These people were the 13th Prince and his group. They were still above when they suddenly felt a shocking energy coming from underground. Their faces changed and they rushed into the tomb. "Oh no, there are traces of someone entering here." Elder Qin Yun looked forward with a gloomy face. "Let's go quickly. There are many formations in this ancient tomb. Even if someone entered first, he shouldn't be able to get far. If we speed up, we might have a chance." Elder Lihua from Deity Sword Villa said in a deep voice. "Humph, don't let me find out who it is. Otherwise, I'll let him know how powerful I am." The 13th Prince was extremely gloomy. He was furious. He originally thought that everything in the ancient tomb belonged to him. However, he didn't expect someone to beat him to it. If it wasn't for that aura, he wouldn't even know that someone had entered the ancient tomb. Therefore, he decided that if he saw the person who entered the tomb, no matter who it was, he would kill him. Only then could he vent his anger. "Let's go!" The 13th Prince led the Shen family disciples and walked forward quickly. Along the way, they saw countless skeletons and corpses. There were also traces of a fight. However, they didn't encounter any danger. This meant that the threat ahead had been resolved by the person who had entered the tomb. This scene made everyone's face turn ugly. This was because the stronger the other party was, the more upset they felt. There's a treasure box here." One of the Shen family disciples noticed a treasure box in the dark ahead. He moved quickly and came to the front of the treasure box. That person must have left in a hurry and didn't notice the treasure box." The Shen family disciple was very proud. He guessed that the treasure box had been left behind. With a click, he opened the treasure box quickly. However, he was dumbfounded the next moment. This was because there was nothing in the treasure box. There were only some remnants of spiritual energy. "Damn it, the item inside has been taken away." The disciple was so angry that he smashed the treasure box with his palm. This was too infuriating. He thought that he had gotten a great bargain. He didn't expect to be fooled. This treasure box had obviously been opened by someone before. However, it had been restored to its original state. The only difference was that the item inside had disappeared. It was obvious that it was done by the person who had entered the tomb. Damn it, that person is such a bastard! Catch him! We must kill him! The Shin family martial artists were also furious. However, before the cursing ended, the entire ground started to tremble. Damn it, what happened? Chapter 1163. The asterisk eminent. What happened? The group of people were terrified. Oh no! It's a trap! The treasure chest should be some kind of trap. However, it was destroyed and the trap was triggered. 13th Prince's face turned pale. He did not expect them to not only fail to obtain the treasure, but also activate a trap for no reason. They were too unlucky. The ground shook slightly and a group of ghost soldiers crawled out from the ground. They had a cold aura and pounced on the martial artists from the Shin family. Get lost! In an instant, angry shouts and sounds of fighting could be heard. What happened over there? The people from Deity Sword Villa chose the other side. Hence, they were not clear about what had happened to the Shin family. However, from the moment they entered the tomb, they had started to place martial artists to spy on the Shin family. Hence, they received news very quickly. Oh, you're saying that they opened an empty treasure chest, and someone even broke the treasure chest that they were fighting over, triggering a restriction trap. Elder Lihua squinted his eyes and said to the disciples from Deity Sword Villa, "This ancient tomb is very dangerous. Hence, do not destroy anything. Even if you find a treasure chest, report it immediately." It was not a big deal if there were no treasures. However, if they triggered a powerful trap, it would be troublesome. The surrounding disciples nodded as they heard the angry shouts from the Shin family's disciples not far away. It seemed that the trap was not simple. After instructing the disciples, Elder Lihua and Xiao Fan continued on their journey. However, not long after, they found a treasure chest in the corner. The treasure chest was hidden in a pile of rocks and bones. It was very well hidden. If the people from Deity Sword Villa had not searched carefully, they would not have found it. "Elder, there's a treasure chest!" A disciple from Deity Sword Villa shouted excitedly. Elder Lihua was surprised when he heard that. He moved and instantly came to the vicinity. The surrounding disciples from Deity Sword Villa flew over quickly after hearing that. "Be careful! Don't fall into the trap," Xiao Fan said as he carried a red giant sword on his back. Elder Lihua nodded. Then, he gathered a few elders and began to carefully conduct various tests and research. Not long after, Elder Lihua suddenly smiled. "Young Master Fan, we have checked. No one has opened this treasure chest before. In other words, the thing inside is still here. It had never been opened before." Hearing this, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of interest. Then, he said in a deep voice, "Be careful. Open it slowly." The surrounding disciples also held their breaths. Crack! A low voice could be heard as the treasure chest opened. But in the next moment, the smile on Lihua's face disappeared and was replaced by fear. "Yes, it should be a trap." Along with the roar, a gray mist flew out from the treasure chest and spread out in all directions. "Not good, it's poisonous gas, hold your breath." Elder Lihua was infuriated. Then, he dashed backward. Plop! Plop! A few disciples fell to the ground, their faces dark. "Oh no, they're poisoned! Damn it! What kind of poison is this? It's so terrifying." The disciples of the Deity Sword Villa were terrified. The weakest among them was at the fifth heaven of the Venerable Realm. However, they were poisoned in an instant. They had never heard of such a poison. Elder Lihua extended both of his palms and a fire dragon roared as it flew forward. The fire dragon circled around and dispersed the gray mist. Then, it brought the few disciples who had fainted back. However, at the moment of saving them, A few more disciples were shrouded by the poisonous gas and were on the verge of collapsing. Damn it! What kind of poison is this? The older generation figures accidentally came into contact with the gray poisonous gas, and their skin immediately turned black. The elder was at the sixth heaven of the venerable realm. He roared and shot out a series of light shadows. However, when they entered the gray mist, they were useless. Humph! Xiao Fan snorted and drew the giant red sword on his back. He slashed it down. Suddenly, countless sword chi flew out from the giant sword like a fiery sword rain and quickly filled the entire space. The sword chi was extremely sharp and it carried a thick fire-based aura as if it was burning. In an instant, the poisonous gas was dispersed. Seeing this, the crowd heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xiao Fan was here. Otherwise, if they were infected by the poisonous gas, they would not be able to survive. After destroying the gray poisonous gas, Xiao Fan asked coldly, "Elder Lihua, do you know what kind of poisonous gas it is? If I'm not wrong, it should be corpse poison." Elder Lihua's face turned ugly. Corpse poison? Xiao Fan frowned. Yes, corpse poison. It's formed by the burning of more than 10 seventh heaven of the venerable realm's corpses. This poisonous gas is extremely terrifying. Fortunately, young Master Fan, you're cultivating the earth-class martial art, fiery sword art. Not only is it powerful, but it's also fire-based. That's why you can disperse the corpse poison so easily. Otherwise, we would be in danger. I understand. Xiao Fan nodded and flicked out several fiery red sword chi into the bodies of the disciples who were poisoned to help them expel the poison. After half an hour, the poisonous gas on the disciples' faces gradually disappeared. He walked over slowly. Although the poisoned disciples were fine, the people from Deity Sword Villa were not happy. They had just entered the ancient tomb and they had fallen into a trap. Moreover, they had almost suffered a large number of casualties. Before this, they had not expected it at all. It seems like this ancient tomb is more troublesome than we thought, Xiao Fan said in a deep voice. Yes, I reckon that it's a trap. The person who came before us must have seen through it. That's why he didn't touch the treasure box. It's funny that we thought we had picked up a treasure. In the end, we fell into a trap. Elder Lihua sighed. Not long after we entered, we and the Shen family had already fallen into a trap. It seems like the person who came before us is more troublesome than we thought. Let's go. I reckon there aren't any treasures left along the way. Xiao Fan shook his head. He then took the lead and quickly walked into the depths of the ancient tomb. This time, he no longer paid attention to the scenery on both sides. He knew that even if there were treasures left behind, it would be a trap. On the other side, the martial artists from the Shen family were also hurrying on with their journey. Meng Tian, Duguo Yan and the other two were not in a hurry to take action. However, when they found out about the situation of the Shen family and Deity Sword Villa, they quickly gave up their previous thoughts. They had to quickly find the person who came before them. Otherwise, the treasures here would have nothing to do with them. Along the way, the 13th young master's face turned gloomy. After walking for so long, he still had not found any trace of the person. During this process, they had already found more than 10 treasure boxes. However, all of them had been taken away without exception. Damn it! When I find that despicable guy, I'll definitely make him spit out all the treasures that he has taken. The 13th young master's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The other party was too despicable. He did not even leave any treasures for them. The group of people headed towards the depths of the ancient tomb in a grandiose manner. Chapter 1164. Lin Xian didn't know that he had been targeted by 3 parties. But even if he did, it didn't matter. After all, he was the one who had taken the treasures from the treasure chests. They had broken countless seals along the way and had reaped a bountiful harvest. It was obvious that this tomb belonged to someone important. The treasures inside were probably buried with him. At this moment, Lin Xian's group of 3 had already entered the secret chamber. They were only a dozen meters away from the 3 bronze coffins. Suddenly, the sound of air vibrating came from behind them. Someone's here? Lin Xian turned around and frowned. Beside him, Zhao Shui also used her void sky eyes. Suddenly, the void sky eyes trembled and blurred figures appeared one after another. Someone has indeed entered. And there are quite a few of them, Zhao Shui said in a deep voice. Lin Xian looked at the figures formed by the void sky eyes and frowned even more. It's actually the disciples of the Shen family. Looks like we have to speed up. Rosalind, can you speed up? Lin Xian asked. It's impossible to secretly break the seals. Of course, if you want to fall into a trap, it's very fast. The Crimson Dragon replied. Forget it. Lin Xian shook his head. Let's continue with your plan. The aura of this place made him a little wary. So unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to fall into a trap. What about the people behind us? Zhao Shui asked. It's fine. This trap is probably enough for them to suffer. Lin Xian sneered. Just as the two of them were talking, the group of people behind them had already arrived in front of the secret chamber. Looking at the 3 coffins and Lin Xian's group of 3, everyone became excited. After searching for so long, we finally found that person. The 13th prince was even more excited. How dare the 2 of you? Who let you in? This ancient tomb was discovered by our Shen family first. A disciple of the Shen family stood out and pointed at Lin Xian. You discovered it first? How thick-skinned! Lin Xian revealed a look of disdain. The disciples of the Shen family were furious when they saw the mocking gaze. He was just about to flare up when he was stopped by Elder Qin Yun. Elder Qin Yun's eyes flickered as he coldly said, Brat, I'll give you a chance. Give us 70% of the treasures you obtained before, and we can let you live. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even if you obtain the treasure today, you won't be able to leave here alive. That's right. Being able to contribute treasures to the 13th young master is the greatest fortune of your life. Young man, don't make a mistake. You'd better recognize the situation in front of you. The group of people pointed at Lin Xian and sneered. Scram! In the face of the Shen family's aggression, Lin Xian only said one word. You dare to tell us to get lost? He's really going against the heavens. Brat, do you know who you're talking to? Do you believe that I won't break your bones one by one? The martial artists of the Shen family were furious. How dare a brat insult the Shen family? He's courting death. The 13th young master's eyes were as cold as swords as he looked ahead. Then, he sneered disdainfully. I thought you were some expert, but it turns out that you're just a brat at the 5th sky of the honorable realm. Brat, you might be an expert among ordinary people, but you're nothing in front of us. Do you know who we are? We're martial artists of the Shen family. If you know what's good for you, kneel down obediently and hand over all the treasures you obtained. Then I can spare your life. Shen family? I've beaten up many disciples of the Shen family. Which one are you? Lin Xian said coldly. Since the other party wanted to have a war of words with him, it couldn't be better. He could use this opportunity to stall for time and allow An Hong to break the array quickly. Brat, I think you really don't want to live anymore. The 13th young master's face darkened when he heard Lin Xian's words. Young master, don't talk nonsense with this brat. Why don't we capture him and snatch the treasures directly? Elder Qin Yun said coldly from the side. All right. The 13th young master nodded. If any of you capture that brat, I'll give him a half-earth class martial art. I'll go. The disciples were all excited when they heard the reward. Immediately, 2 young martial artists rushed out and flew forward with a hideous smile. Die, brat. How dare you offend our Shen family? How audacious! Both of them were at the peak of the 5th sky of the honorable realm, and could even fight against the 6th sky of the honorable realm. Therefore, in their opinion, capturing a brat at the 5th sky of the honorable realm was a piece of cake. However, as soon as they entered the secret room, they were attacked by a pale white flame. Immediately, the 2 of them were enveloped by the flame. They screamed in pain before their bodies burned and turned into ashes. In an instant, the two of them turned into ashes. What? How is this possible? What kind of flame is this? How can it be so terrifying? The martial artists from the Shin family were all stunned. Behind them, the people from the deity sword villa had just arrived. When they saw this scene, they gasped. Even Elder Lihua had a grave look on his face. He cultivated a fire-based martial art. However, just now, the white flame made his heart palpitate. This was simply too inconceivable. Brat, how dare you kill the disciples of the Shin family? You're dead. The 13th young master was surrounded by a murderous aura. Idiot! Lin Xian snorted. What did you say? How dare you scold me? The 13th young master was trembling with anger and was about to attack. At this moment, Lin Xian's voice was heard again. Firstly, I didn't kill them. If you're not blind, you should be able to see it clearly. Secondly, even if you're from the Shin family, so what? If I want to kill someone, none of you can stop me. Let me give you a piece of advice. Get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the 13th young master was trembling with anger. Who was he? He was the 13th young master of the Shin family. His status was extremely noble. Normally, no one dared to provoke him. Even the disciples of the Shin family had to be careful when they saw him. However, someone dared to scold him now? This was courting death. Brat, you're dead. Regardless of whether you hand over the treasure or not, you're dead. The 13th young master was as cold as the god of death. However, Lin Xian was unmoved. He turned around and ignored these people. This scene made the 13th young master mad. He raised his hand and slapped out. Boom! The terrifying shadow of the palm blasted forward and the entire void was about to split open. However, just as the shadow of the palm entered the secret chamber, it was burned by a ball of white flame and disappeared in the air. What? It can even burn the energy of a seventh heaven honorable realm? Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what kind of flame could be so terrifying. One had to know that the attack of the 13th young master was much stronger than that of an ordinary seventh heaven honorable realm. However, even so, it couldn't enter the space in front of him. This was unbelievable. Chapter 1165. The power of the pale white flames was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the 13th young master was stunned. He did not expect his attack to be neutralized. Damn it, what are those flames? Why can those people enter? He stared at Lin Xian's back with a cold gaze. Young master, this should be a formation. At the side, Elder Qin Yun's expression was also solemn, but as for how to break it, this old man did not understand at the moment. Hearing that, the 13th young master's face darkened. This was not good news for him. If they could not break the formation, it would be even more dangerous to barge in. That was because they knew that the space in front of them was filled with pale white flames. Those flames were extremely terrifying. Even a seventh heaven venerable might not be able to resist them. Therefore, the 13th young master did not want to be surrounded by those flames unless he had no other choice. However, if they could not break the formation, they could only watch as Lin Xian and the others took the treasure. This kind of thing was even more intolerable to them. At the side, the people from Deity Sword Villa also had gloomy expressions because they could not break the formation either. In the end, the people from the two forces quickly discussed and decided to break the formation together. They could not let that kid take the treasure. Otherwise, if this matter spread, they would say that so many elites could not do anything to two thieves. That would definitely be an extremely embarrassing matter. After all, these people were from the top forces and there were many seniors present. Therefore, after some discussion, they finally found a solution. A few seniors took the lead and carefully walked into the secret room in front of them. The first few steps were not dangerous, and the pale white flames did not appear. It seemed that they had found the right method. The seniors heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, an elder from the Shin family took a step forward and stepped on the bluestone floor. Suddenly, countless flames emerged from the ground and instantly enveloped that elder. Ah! That elder screamed as his entire body burned. He roared crazily and wanted to put out the flames, but he could not do it at all. In an instant, he was burned to ashes. Seeing this, everyone's scalps went numb, and their faces were filled with fear. That was a sixth heaven venerable. However, it was burned to ashes in an instant. This white flame was too terrifying. For a time, the older generation figures in front of him didn't dare to walk around recklessly. Instead, they quickly studied it again. Amidst this tense atmosphere, another 3 figures arrived. These 3 people were naturally Meng Tian and Du Gaotian. They just happened to see the scene of the 6th heavenly layer elder being burned to ashes, and were immediately shocked. They didn't need to think to know that there was an extremely terrifying array formation ahead. However, when Du Gaotian and Li Yunfei really arrived before them, they were stunned. That was because they noticed an extremely familiar figure standing in front of them. Lin Xian, why are you here? Du Gaotian was stunned. Are you the one who came in early? Li Yunfei was also shocked. What? Lin Xian? Is he Lin Xian, the student from Senma College? Hearing Li Yunfei Duo's words, the surrounding martial artists also burst into an uproar. They didn't expect that the person who shocked them to the core was also a student from Senma College. They had heard a lot about Lin Xian, but that didn't mean that they had really seen him before, so they didn't recognize him before. However, now that someone said it, they all understood. Because they knew that the other party was a very magical existence. They had also heard of what had happened before. A 5th heaven venerable had forcefully snatched the most precious treasure from the hands of several top-notch self-cultivators, and had even successfully escaped. Not only that, it seemed that the other party could even resist a 7th heaven venerable. Moreover, he had calmly escaped from the pursuit of the top powerhouses of the Palace of Gods of War. No matter what it was, it made Lin Xian extremely mysterious. Previously, they didn't quite believe these rumors because in their opinion, these rumors were too exaggerated. After all, how could a 5th heaven venerable be compared to a 7th heaven venerable? But now, it seemed that they were somewhat convinced. This was because their 2 top clans hadn't cracked the array formation, but the other party had easily walked into the depths of the array formation. ***, this kid must have some secrets. What's the big deal about secrets? I only know that this kid has many treasures. If we can catch him, all those treasures will be ours. In an instant, countless warriors stared at Lin Xian with fiery eyes. Lin Xian also turned his head and looked at Du Gaotian and Li Yunfei as he nodded slightly. What a coincidence, you guys are here too, he said with a smile, then looked at Meng Tian who was at the side. What a powerful aura! He realized that the other party's aura was very powerful. It wasn't any weaker than the 13th Prince or Xiao Fan from the Deity Sword Villa. As if seeing the confusion in Lin Xian's eyes, Du Gaotian explained. This is senior brother Meng Tian, who ranked 3rd on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard. He's now a member of the Punishment Hall. A member of the Punishment Hall? Ranked 3rd on the previous Mystic Venerable leaderboard? No wonder he was so powerful. Lin Xian understood, and then smiled as he cupped his fists. Hello, senior brother Meng. Your junior brother Lin? I've heard rumors about you, but now that I've met you, I realize that you're indeed extraordinary. Meng Tian wasn't lying because he felt a dangerous aura from Lin Xian. He didn't feel that way even when facing the 13th Prince and Xiao Fan. Therefore, he was very curious and fearful of Lin Xian. After Meng Tian and the other 2 arrived, they didn't rush forward. After all, they were still young and didn't know much about formations. Therefore, they didn't dare to rush forward. The 3 of them stood outside and waited for an opportunity. However, not long after, the Crimson Dragon's body shook and he roared excitedly. It's broken. Ben Huan has finally broken the formation. Along with his voice, there was a slight tremor in front of him. Then, a terrifying aura quickly disappeared. It's broken? Lin Xian was shocked. He originally thought that the Crimson Dragon would break the formation bit by bit so that he could get closer to the bronze coffin. However, he didn't expect the entire formation to be broken. This was something he didn't expect. Because the formation was broken, it meant that the people outside could enter. Therefore, without hesitation, Lin Xian immediately took action and flew toward the bronze coffin closest to him. The people outside were also stunned. Then, they understood what had happened and were overjoyed. They didn't expect that the formation that gave them such a headache would be broken by a red snake. This was simply too unexpected. However, they didn't care how the red snake broke the formation. At this moment, everyone was staring at the 3 bronze coffins. Needless to say, the bronze coffins were protected by such a powerful formation. There must be something extremely precious inside. Therefore, in the next moment, all of them quickly rushed forward. Chapter 1166. The 13th Prince, Xiao Fan, and the rest took the lead. As there were only 3 bronze coffins, these people went crazy and acted quickly. If they were late, they might not be able to get anything. Lin Xian was the closest to the bronze coffin on the left, so he was the first to act. Zhao Shui ran towards the bronze coffin in the middle. As for the one on the right, they gave up on it. The current situation did not allow them to be greedy. It was good enough that they were able to keep one. The Crimson Dragon did not act. It did not snatch any of the coffins. Instead, it jumped to the side and watched the show. Die, brat! The 13th Prince roared and charged towards Lin Xian. He had his reasons for doing so. Firstly, he wanted to capture Lin Xian and snatch all the treasures in his hands. Secondly, he wanted to take the bronze coffin on the left. Therefore, he went straight to Lin Xian as soon as he entered. Elder Qingyun ran towards the bronze coffin in the middle. Xiao Fan, Meng Tian, and the rest rushed towards the one on the right. The others also rushed to snatch the coffins. The whole scene was chaotic. However, not everyone was qualified to get close to the bronze coffins. At that moment, the 3 ghost lanterns on the 3 bronze coffins jumped and emitted a cold aura. In an instant, the weaker martial artists were sent flying and vomited blood. There were only about 10 people left in the space. Apart from the 13th Prince and the rest who were level 7 supremacies, the rest were level 6 supremacies. Of course, there was one exception, and that was Lin Xian. He was only level 5 supremacies. However, he was safe and sound in the face of the ghost fire. Although Lin Xian dodged the ghost fire, the 13th Prince did not intend to let him go. The 13th young master dashed towards Lin Xian and threw out a punch. His fist was imbued with the power of thunder and lightning. It was aimed at Lin Xian's head. If the punch landed, even a level 7 supremacies would not be able to withstand it. The fist formed by lightning was extremely dazzling. When the fist was thrown, the entire sky shook. One could even clearly see countless bolts of lightning streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, the fist was right in front of Lin Xian's eyes. It looked like it was about to smash Lin Xian's head. At this moment, Lin Xian also moved. Scram! Lin Xian abruptly turned his head and shouted coldly. As soon as the word scram came out, it was like a clap of thunder, causing the void to tremble incomparably. Not only that, but the sound wave also contained purple lightning that surged forward. This sound wave was like a sea of purple lightning. With a long tail of light, it quickly blasted towards the lightning fist. The 2 bolts of lightning collided in the air, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. That terrifying energy fluctuation swept out in all directions, causing all the surrounding martial artists to retreat. The cultivators who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked. They had never imagined that a 5th Sky Venerable Realm brat would be able to resist the 13th Young Master's attack. This was simply inconceivable. One had to know that the 13th Young Master was extremely powerful. Even an ordinary 7th level Venerable wouldn't be able to contend against him. However, a 5th level Venerable had actually blocked his attack. They couldn't believe it. The 13th Young Master was also stunned. Then, his face became extremely ugly. This result was directly out of his expectations. In his opinion, his punch would definitely be able to smash Lin Xian's head. At that time, he would only need to snatch Lin Xian's storage ring and open the bronze coffin. This way, the treasure would be his. Moreover, he would be able to vent the hatred in his heart. However, the truth was that Lin Xian had easily blocked his attack. Damn it, I don't believe it! The 13th young master went crazy. He simply couldn't believe it. One had to know that there was a difference of 2 levels between the two of them. With a furious roar, countless bolts of lightning surged out and condensed into a lightning spear. Then, the 13th young master's arm shook and instantly, the lightning spear in his hand quickly pierced out. Like a ray of light of death, the lightning spear dragged a long tail of light as it quickly pierced through the void. Lightning? Lin Xian snorted coldly. He had recently absorbed the lightning energy of the purple thunder divine bamboo, so he wasn't afraid of the 13th young master's lightning attack at all. With a flick of his finger, purple lightning gathered at the tip of his finger and quickly turned into a purple longsword that slashed forward. An earth-shattering sword radiance flew out and quickly collided with the lightning spear. Suddenly, violent energy exploded, and rubble flew through the air, slapping in all directions. What? He can really contend with the 13th young master? It's not a fluke? Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists were all stunned. They couldn't believe it. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian could block the first attack because of luck, but now, he had blocked the second attack. This wasn't something that could be explained by luck. Even if the 13th young master was careless the first time and didn't use his full strength, he definitely wouldn't be careless the second time. However, Lin Xian could consecutively block 2 attacks, which meant that he was definitely not weaker than a 7th heaven supremacy. Thinking of this, everyone was shocked and gasped. If Lin Xian was a 7th heaven supremacy and could contend with the 13th young master, then so be it. However, he was clearly only a 5th heaven supremacy, but he was able to unleash combat power that was not weaker than a 7th heaven supremacy. This was simply too terrifying. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Elder Qin Yun, who was fighting with Zhao Shui, also saw this scene and his pupils constricted. Humph, old man, you should worry about yourself. Zhao Shui snorted and golden light flickered in her eyes. Together with the virtual sky above her, she unleashed an extremely fierce attack. Elder Qin Yi immediately roared in anger. Impossible! How is this possible? The 13th young master couldn't believe it. In the next moment, he gritted his teeth and said, Kid, I don't know why your combat power is so strange, but even if you have the strength of a 7th heaven supremacy, you will still die. Because no one can challenge me. The 13th young master's face was cold as he shouted, Great Sun Thunder Technique! Immediately, lightning spewed out from his body and quickly condensed into a lightning sun behind him. Countless bolts of lightning illuminated the surroundings, illuminating the sky with a resplendent glow. The 13th young master stood in the sea of lightning like the god of thunder and looked down at his surroundings. An extremely violent aura rushed out from his body as if it could tear the sky and earth apart. Great Sun Thunder Technique! It's the Great Sun Thunder Technique! Great! The 13th young master is serious. That kid is definitely dead. Of course, the Great Sun Thunder Technique is an Earth-class martial art. Even a 7th heaven supremacy can't contend with it. In the distance, the Shen family's martial artists saw this scene and immediately cheered. This was because they knew the power of the Great Sun Thunder Technique, and they also knew that the 13th young master had cultivated the Great Sun Thunder Technique to the small success stage. As long as he used the Great Sun Thunder Technique, no one in the same cultivation level would be his match. In the next moment, the 13th young master looked coldly at Lin Xian. Kid, I have to say that you are quite strong to be able to make me use the Great Sun Thunder Technique. However, that's all. Next, I will let you know what true power is. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.